It was July 2023. I was 14 years old. I had just started my self-improvement YouTube channel and I was sitting right here at this exact very desk and I was just watching some fucking random shit on YouTube because I was off sick from school. And I was just sitting here, recently having started my YouTube channel, watching the fucking bullshit YouTube, whatever it may be. And then my phone's right here on my desk, okay. And my phone buzzes. I get a little notification on it, which is completely normal, okay. And I pick my phone up, and I turn the screen on. And there is a notification from one of my sort of kind of friends. He wasn't on self-improvement, but he was sort of like a mate. And he said, "Everybody is laughing at your TikTok. Are you all right?" And I was just like, oh, okay, they're fucking, they're on my old TikTok, which I had when I was like 9 years old, which I forgot the password to and I can't delete, where I fucking, did stupid ass fucking skits and shit. And it's like, oh, that's fine. I don't really give a fuck if people laugh at that. And I'm like, oh, okay, is it my old one? And he's like, no, the one from 3 days ago. And I am like, oh, fucking shit, because I've got an idea of what's fucking going on here. I'm not certain of it yet, but I've got like a hypothesis of what might be happening here. Okay, and so I go on my phone and I go into like the Google Play Store. Okay, and I search up TikTok, re-download TikTok, go on TikTok, like log into my account, and I'm sitting in this very chair right at this exact very desk, and I go on TikTok, and in the bottom right, okay, I see a little red notification, and on that little red notification are two digits that make up one number. Okay. Is 99 plus. And I'm like, oh fucking shit. And I physically jump out my chair. And I'm just going, no, 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 no. I'm literally like, fucking no, 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 no. Exactly like that. No, no, no. And I know what's going on. And I click on the little 99 plus notification in the bottom right. And one of the top notifications, okay, just to confirm it, fucking nail in the coffin. I see one of the girls at my school, I see her name commenting or sharing or some shit like that. And I'm going, no, no, no. I'm physically saying that, no, 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 over and over again. And I click on the little TikTok profile, okay, and I see I've got like 2,000 followers or some fucking crazy shit like that. Literally just a few days ago, I created this TikTok account and just like fucking cut down some of my self-improvement videos that I'd made into like shorts and put them on TikTok and everything. And I've got 2,500 fucking followers now. And I scroll down and I see 50,000 views. 150,000 views, 300,000 views, 3 million views. I remember seeing 3 fucking million views on one of these fucking TikToks, bro. What had happened is the TikTok for some reason fucking blew up. My school, some girl from my school finds it on her For You page and just shares it with everybody. At the time, I was off school sick. I was literally here watching fucking some bullshit YouTube off school sick. And so I wasn't there when they fucking found it. Okay. So what I do, because I am fucking panicking like crazy now, it's like my life as I knew it, where it's like I was on self-improvement and I was doing kind of YouTube, because I'd only started YouTube like a week before that. But it's like, me being on self-improvement and, taking cold showers and fucking doing press-ups in my room while I was holding my breath so my family wouldn't hear. This was a fucking big secret. It was a secret that I wanted to eat healthy. It was a secret that I wanted to work out and that I was working out. It was a secret that I was going on runs. Okay, I didn't really have any, proper super good friends at school, but none of them knew about this shit, And all of a sudden, this fucking secret life where I was now making YouTube videos on it was just out in the fucking public. Okay, and so I go onto the TikTok and I go through everything and I've got no fucking clue how to use TikTok. I don't know if you can private videos, but I'm panicking. Okay, and so I just delete every single TikTok. And I was thinking in my brain, I might fucking regret doing this. And I do that and then I go on my computer and I put all the YouTube videos on private, and I don't think I deleted them. I just put everything on private, like change the name of the channel so like people couldn't find it, because it's like they just like found the YouTube from the TikTok just then. And keep in mind, the TikTok, it was like the YouTube videos were like clipped down into the TikToks. The TikToks weren't super bad. In the YouTube videos, I was completely unfiltered, uncensored. I was like telling stories of like, people at school. I was telling stories of times that have happened with people at school. It's like, no fucking way, I'm not getting them to see that shit. Unfortunately, I take it all down before they saw that. And bro, I get that down and my heart's just fucking racing, bro. It's like my whole life had just been fucking ripped away from me, and I knew it was the fucking end of that life. And so I literally just go back to my bullshit YouTube, bro, and I just try and forget it. I try and escape it, escapism. I try and fucking escape it, just fucking watching the YouTube. And a few hours go past, okay, and then hear a knock. at my door. And I know who it is. I know who it is. It's my dad. And he walks in. And I turn around and he sits on my bench press over there. I've got a bench press in my room. And he sits on the end of my bench press. And he goes, "Do you know why I'm here?" And I reply back to him, "How much do you know?" And he replies back to me, "I know enough." And we start speaking. Basically what had happened is some guy at my school had, seen it all, and then he'd gone and found my sister and showed it to my sister because, kids are like that. And so my sister obviously tells my parents about it. And my dad hadn't seen it, he just heard it from my sister at that point. And we just start speaking, and I show him the channel, and I explain to him what self-improvement is, because he didn't even know, I was 14 at this time, he didn't know what self-improvement or anything was. It's like, he knew I was working out and going for runs and stuff like that, but he didn't know it was this whole big movement, because I was watching Hamza and everything, and I had to tell him who Hamza was, and because Hamza had got me to start doing self-improvement videos, and I explained all this, and it's like, I started to feel somewhat proud while telling him about this. It was kind of like, I didn't know how he would react. And so I just thought, if I don't know how he's going to react, I might as well go in being proud of this, not kind of be all scared and whimpery, not really want to tell him. But I explained it to him. And fortunately, my dad's always been very supportive of, what I wanted to do. It's like, I remember since I was a kid, he was always like, whatever you want to do, whether you're straight, whether you're gay, whether you're, you want to fucking do this or that, we're always going to support you as long as it's not heinously illegal. And so he was actually pretty supportive of me, and I showed him the videos, okay. And this is the big fucking plot twist, okay. Because at the time, me making these videos, I was doing something absolutely fucking crazy wrong, okay. And I didn't realize I was doing something ridiculously wrong, alright. But when my dad sees these videos, okay, he points it out to me, and when he points it out to me, what I'm doing completely wrong, which makes it so much worse, okay, I kind of start to realize it, and I'm kind of in denial of it, okay, and he watches these videos, and I'll just tell you, okay, I was basically fucking emulating Andrew Tate as this little skinny 14-year-old with a squeaky voice.
There are so many boys in my school who are Jeffreys. They're fat, they don't exercise, they eat unhealthily, they probably fap 5 times a day, they probably have porn addictions, and they are very obviously not happy.
And so I just fucking ran in, like Tate, as this fucking little 14-year-old with my glasses on, out in the woods, because I literally fucking ran out, not into just any normal woods, I ran out into these fucking private woods, private woodlands that are privately owned, out in the middle of the fucking fields, half away from any towns or shit like that, because I didn't want anyone to see me recording. I didn't want to be fucking caught. I would, never do it at home ever. Bro, and my dad points it out that I was speaking like Tate, and he points out that I was I was being too brutal and being too blunt, and it was I started actually planning a video directly to the kids at my school, telling them I don't fucking give a fuck what you think. You're fat, and you're ugly, and you're not a self-improvement, and you're retarded, and I'm so much better than you. It's fucking, I was this 14-year-old that'd been on self-improvement for 4 months, bro, 6 months, and it's so yeah, my dad points that out, and he just gives me some pointers of improvement, and it's I have to fucking, make, before I upload the videos, because he was fine with me continuing to upload. I just had to make a whole new channel under another new fake name, because that's the other thing. I made that first channel, I made it under a fake name, Sam Springwood, I called it. And so, because that was the woodlands I recorded in, it was Springwood, so I called myself Sam Springwood, and then it was make another, just make another new channel under another new fake name, and just make your content less Andrew Tate-like, and make it more, constructive and less fucking ranty, okay, and less yeah, and so I get back to making videos, and I make this new channel. I call it Sam Millicent, and if you've watched me for a while, you'll recognize that name, Sam Millicent, because I only changed it about a year ago. And, because, by the way, Millicent's Wood was another woodland, which is just right next to Springwood, and so I just fucking got the name from there. So I was called Sam Millicent, I made this new channel, okay, and I start uploading these new videos, and it goes well, and then basically the kids at my school, they find it again. But at this point, okay, I forgot to mention this. Basically what happened was, it was I was off school sick, but it was the very end of year 9. So it was the very end of the school year. And so what happened was I just I convinced my parents to let me stay off school for the rest of that school year. But the rest of that school year was literally only 5 days. So I just got 5 days off, so I didn't even go into school, and then it was 6 weeks off, summer holidays, and it was 7 weeks that I went back to school, before I went back to school. So it's like I had like these 7 weeks, and so I started uploading during these like 7 weeks. Okay, and it's like, I'm running the videos through my dad before I can upload them, so he's giving me like the approval that yes, you can upload this and everything. And then the kids at my school, they find it because it's like I had like one, good friend on self-improvement, and I convinced him to start like making videos too and all that shit. So he made like an Instagram account connected to his new self-improvement channel. But then he fucking connected his contacts to that new Instagram account he made. And so people from our school found his new Instagram account. On that new Instagram account, he was following my Sam Millison new Instagram account. And so then from there, they find my new channel. And at that point, like, I just don't give a fuck, bro. I just like, I don't fucking give a fuck. It's like, a week into the summer holidays. It's going to be another like 5 weeks until, I go back to school anyway. And at 14, 5 weeks is like a fucking, 10 years. And so I'm like, bro, these next 6 weeks, I'm gonna fucking lock in, bro. I'm gonna hit 10K per month in the next 6 weeks of my channel, and I'm gonna drop out of school, and I'm never gonna see any of them again, and I'm gonna fucking, go traveling within the next like 5 weeks, okay, and I'm never gonna see any. That was my plan to basically, make 10K per month and drop out in the next 6 weeks, which, if you've been trying to do online business, you probably know that isn't pretty possible to do that shit in 6 weeks, but, that was my plan. And so I get uploading, I'm making my videos, I'm editing it, and I'm enjoying it a good part, I start a Discord server, I start to build, a bit of a community up there. And it's going pretty decent, but, it's getting closer and closer to that day I'm supposed to get back to school. And, it's getting closer and closer, and I don't really think I'm going to be able to do it. I kind of realize that I'm not going to be able to do it. So I get one video that gets like 3,000 views and I get up to like 300 subscribers, but like, I don't really think it's going to be super possible for me. And I'm getting more nervous and I'm getting more anxious as the date's getting closer and closer until it actually is the day I need to go back to school. I haven't seen the kids at my school in like 7 weeks at this point, okay? And it's time for me to go back. And they all know about my channel. At this point, I was at like 300 subs, so it wasn't like I was just some little kid on the internet making videos and no one was listening. I had a Discord server with like 50 people and, I had a bit of a community, a bit of a following to a degree. I had these 300 subscribers. It was nothing crazy at all. Plenty of them all had gaming channels like 10 times the size of that. So I get on my bike because I ride my bike to school. I get ready for school. I get on my bike and I start riding to school. And as I'm getting like onto the road to school, is like there's more kids who are around me like walking to school, and most of them aren't in my year. They don't know who I am really. But I don't know like how well known my channel is. I don't know if it's just like just my year that knows about it, and I don't even know if they really care that much about it. And I don't know if any other years, so I'm kind of like unsure of how much people know and how much people care. And I go into school and it's like, I'm trying to avoid certain people. Like, bro, I remember when I was like crossing the road to go into the school, this is a whole nother story, but it was like this girl who I had a crush on for like fucking ages, and then I finally asked her out, and then she like broke up with me like a few weeks, after me asking her out. This happened like a year before at that point, or like half a year before. And that's kind of like my, inciting event that got me into self-improvement. It's like, right as I was going to school, it's like I had to fucking ride past her, and that was like so fucking awkward, I remember, for me. And I just like pretended I didn't exist. And I get into school, I lock my bike up, and like no one's, I feel like people are looking at me, but like, I was aware that I probably felt like it was a bigger thing than it was. And I get into the school and I'm like walking to my first class and everything. And then it happens, the first like comment, this group of boys in my year, they're kind of like, the popular kids. And they make some comment. I can't remember exactly what it was, but they make some comment. And I get like all tense, and it feels painful, but I kind of realize like it doesn't actually hurt that much. Like, yes, they're saying this shit, but I don't really care that much. And I remember my first class was like fucking PE, bro. So like in the changing rooms, it's like I just went in the fucking corner and didn't speak to anyone, and no one really said anything. But I remember like when I was sitting like in the PE class, when you're fucking sitting down, and it's like the PE teacher's telling everyone like what we're gonna be doing for this class, and there was this girl next to me who was like one of the like popular girls, and she's like, oh, here's Sam, Sam Springwood, the life coach. And I remember I had like a really brief conversation with her, and like I tried to make a point of like, well, yeah, I'm helping people, I'm doing good for my life, and I think she was kind of receptive to that, and kind of realized, oh shit, you do sort of have a point. But even so, it's like, it doesn't make a difference. People are still going to be, calling me names and shit, but I pushed through it. I was kind of socially outcast. I only had like 1 or 2 good friends, really. Only one friend who was on self-improvement, but I keep pushing through. And I keep, uploading consistently. And yes, I care what they think to a degree, but I kind of get over it. And I keep pushing through and I keep uploading. And I start a business and I start coaching. And eventually, after a few months, I hit 2K per month and shit's going well. And I go through so much pain and so much struggle building my business. But I keep pushing through and it keeps happening. And, I eventually get to the point where I'm I realized that dropping out, this is like a couple years later, dropping out is actually an option, and I drop out, okay, and it's like I make a fucking self-improvement documentary with the BBC, and I go traveling Europe, I meet up with my online friends and everything. I hit 10K per month now, my business blows up, and I'm now fucking living the awesome life, bro, and it's all started with me having to push through school. And I think during that big, like, those first couple years of where I was having to push through, being in school, or at least that first year where it's like I was in school and I was sort of socially outcast, and it's really fucking hard. I think I really learned one of the biggest lessons, which I really do attribute and I really do a credit to my success now. And that's what I'm making this video about. In this video, I'm going to teach you this sort of big lesson, this big kind of realization I've realized by going through so much in the school system and by going through so much pain there, which you might be going through yourself. I do think I had a much harder like school experience while doing business, and most people I speak to do, because I speak to so many other guys like you, bro. I've done so much coaching. By the way, for context, who I am, what's going on, bro? My name's to introduce myself. My name's Sam Walford. I'm a 17-year-old, obviously now dropped out entrepreneur from Coventry in the UK, and I help young men exactly like you to launch your self-improvement coaching businesses and help you to hit your own first 1 to 3K per month of self-improvement coaching, so that of course you can drop out and do all this cool shit now that I've done it, because obviously it's like I've got the credibility, I've helped plenty of guys like you. It's I'm living this life, so I'm now helping you. That's now my current mission. And the point I was saying is that I've spoke to so many guys like you, I really understand what you're going through, and so that's what I was saying. It's like I feel like I had a much harder experience than you're probably going through. And I think I learned a lot of lessons from that, which is what I'm going to obviously teach you today in this video. The lessons I learned from going through school, and how you can probably use these lessons in your own life if you're still stuck in school to basically make it a lot easier to deal with it, so that you're still going to feel the pain, but you just deal with the pain of living a shit life easier while you're still building your business. And so in this video, first thing, I'm going to tell you my whole story. Yes, I just went over my story to a degree there. That was just like the very start of it, bro. We're going to go over that story, going way, way further on that, because that story goes way further. It goes way fucking deeper and way fucking darker. I went to some fucking deep, dark places, bro, and I am so grateful that I managed to go down to those deep, dark places, and I managed to get out, and that's sort of where I found those lessons, which we're going to get onto that in the video. And then after that, I'm going to teach you those lessons, as I just said. So firstly, it's my story, and then secondly, we're going to go over my advice for you. So going back to the very, 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 very beginnings of my story, even when I was like a little kid and I was younger, when I was like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, I always felt like I was different. Like, and you might feel the same way as I did, and this might really resonate with you, what I'm about to say. It's like I felt like I was different. It's like I felt like I was destined for greatness. I couldn't describe it. It was just like some intrinsic, intuitive feeling, almost like a present feeling, like almost like it's like I could feel the future. It's not like I could see the future and I could see the details of it, but it's like I could feel the future, that I was going to, amount to something better than the average person, that I was going to amount to greatness. And I remember I've got a very vivid memory of like walking home from school in like year 5 or some shit like that, and I remember the exact location of where it was. And I was walking, and I remember like introspectively thinking about this feeling and being like, I feel like I'm really destined to do something great. And I really, I don't know what it is, but I feel like I'm going to be great. And at that time, it's like I was, grinding hard on Fortnite, bro. I almost went pro on Fortnite when I was like 11 or something like that. Like I was grinding on Fortnite, bro. It was twice in fucking Fortnite Cash Cups. I was 1 point away from making $200, which was so annoying because I was on fucking controller on PS4 as well with like 60 FPS. It's crazy. I was just fucking grinding on that shit, bro. Same with my YouTube channel as well. It's like I'd make like Fortnite montages and stuff like this, and it's like I was fucking locked in on Fortnite on YouTube, bro. And I remember like kind of having that feeling that I'm gonna amount to something great. It probably isn't gonna be fucking going pro on Fortnite. That might just be the start of it, but I felt that feeling, and you might feel that too, which is that's something common. I feel like when I speak to a lot of guys like us, is that I've really realized that a lot of us kind of have this feeling where we don't feel like we're the rest of society. It's like we feel like we're different. It's like we feel like we're meant for something greater. And I feel I was very aware of that feeling from quite a young age. And I remember it was actually that feeling I had, it prompted me to like apply to be like the head of like school counselling and shit like this. It's like you'd have like a school, like in primary school when I was like 9 or 10, it's like you had, a school counsellor where it's like you had to go speak to the other kids and ask them what improvements they wanted to be made to the school. Obviously, you wouldn't actually do anything to change the school, but it's like, emulating government and democracy within the school. And it's like, I remember I applied to be like, you know, I applied to be a candidate for like the head of school, whatever it is, like the very top role I applied to be, you know, like the prime minister of the school. And I remember it's like I got voted in, and I was like I was very proud of it, isn't it? I was the very, very top person, like the chairman, I think it was called, you know. And so it's like, yeah, I remember that, and it's like I remember I only did that because it was like I felt like I had that feeling like I was like really destined for greatness, you know. Um, and then like that was like just before COVID. That was like, you know, year six in primary school when I was like, yeah, like 10 or 11 or something like that. And then, you know, COVID hits, and as happened with most of us, it's like, you know, I go really deeper into the video games. It's like I lose all my IRL friends. It's like I'm going to a different secondary school to all of them. And like COVID hits, so I can't even see them in real life. And none of them even play Fortnite, so I've got no reason to stay in contact to them. It's like I've got my new Fortnite friends and everything, my fucking trio, bro. Bro, that was such an. I'm just thinking back now. I had my fucking Fortnite trio, like going fucking, you know, trying to qualify for competitions in Fortnite, going hard on that shit. And you know, COVID hits. I just, you know, no friends in real life, and it's like I kind of go into a bit of a deep depression there. You know, where it's like the self improvement, no, the bad habits are starting to catch up with me, and we all sort of went through this, you know. And then it's like I'm that's, you know, going through into year 7, year 8. It's like I discover porn and fapping and all that, and I go down all that fucking shit. You know, it's like I kind of still playing video games, but I really lose my drive for it, and I get into a, you know, a low when I'm like sort of 12, 13-ish, and it's like I've got a really big crush on this girl and everything in my school, but I'm too scared to ask her out. Until eventually, you know, at one point I get the balls to ask her out, and then we go on like one day, and then she fucking breaks up with me, and I go into this fucking like, you know, I get that fucking masculine drive within me being like, I'm gonna fucking prove her wrong and all this shit. And then at that point, it's like I discovered Hamza, and I get on self-improvement. This is when I was like 13. This is at the end of 2022. This is like the start of year 9 in school. And I discover Hamza. This is like the period of Hamza, like just, you know, when Hamza made his like, I've discovered my purpose video. This was like just a few months before that, like during the peak Jeffrey and Adonis shit. And I discover them, and those videos really help me, and it's like, I get on self-improvement, I tell my dad that it's like, you know, I want to start working, because my dad's like worked out, like bodybuild. He's not a bodybuilder, as in like he's not doing it professionally, he's nowhere near that, but it's like he's always just like worked out for health and like running and all that shit. So it's like I tell my dad that I want to get back into it, and it's like I used to run like cross country when I was a kid as well. I was like pretty decent at cross country running when I was like younger. So it's like I want to get back into running and working out, and you know, I start mountain biking with my dad as well, because he does a lot of mountain biking, and it's like I start to get on this. Like, I don't really tell him about self-improvement. He just like knows that I'm getting more into fitness, and I'm trying to eat healthier. But then it's like, you know, I'm also meditating and like fucking doing press-ups in my room while holding my breath, so that, you know, people, my family outside my door can't hear me. You know, start reading books, watching Hamza. It's like I get one of my friends onto self-improvement and everything as well. And it's like I started to feel like I was different, you know, and you probably feel the same way. It's like you get on self-improvement, and it's like you've always felt like you're different to everybody else, but now that you're finally on self-improvement, it like gives you a tangible reason for how you are different to everybody else. And it's like those guys, they're the fucking Jeffries, you know, they're not necessarily the enemy, but they're like the product of the enemy being, you know, porn, the enemy being addictions and scrolling and bad junk food and, you know, not exercising and that sort of shit. And it's like, you know, they're not like us, we're different. And it's like, I remember with my friend, we'd go out, you know, riding bikes, because he was also into mountain biking as well. He was just starting to get into it, and we bonded really well over that. So I remember I started him to get running and everything, get him into running, because he was like pretty overweight, and I wasn't fit, but it was like, I think I'm blessed with just like good genetics. Like, I really struggle to put fat on, and I gain muscle really easily. And so it was like, I was like, you know, he was like probably working out and fucking locked in harder than I was. But then at the same time, I was like training him, because like, you know, I just had a better physique, mostly just down to genetics and shit. And also I've never struggled with eating a bad diet. I've always like preferred healthy food, but that's a side point. But yeah, and it's like it was kind of like me and him. I mean, we weren't super close, but it's like me and him fucking against everyone else, and it's like, you know, we were on proper self-improvement, and it's like it differentiated us. And I remember I saw Hamza like make a video about like you know, starting your own self-improvement channel. And at that point, it's like I had done YouTube my entire life, really. you know, Fortnite videos or the shit videos like that. It's like, bro, I remember I had this channel where it's like, if any of you know the YouTuber Mr. Ballin, where it's like he made the fucking like storytelling videos. He's got like 15 million subs or something like that. It's pretty big. But I'd watch him for years, and so I basically just fucking like got his video scripts and just put it into AI and just like made an AI copy of his videos and just uploaded them on YouTube. And you know, that did all right, like doing faceless YouTube, and it's like, I don't think I just like tried different faceless YouTube channels. Like I tried a geography one because I'm really into geography. I'm a bit of a geography nerd, and you know, I tried online business, but I always thought that like, you know, online business, it'd be like cool if I could do it, but I don't think it's really possible. And I'd always thought, you know, like doing some sort of career, like, you know, I don't know, like an architect maybe, or something to do with computers, like a code software engineer or some shit like that. I'll probably just go into that and get a, you know, high paying job. That was my plan, and that's like, you know, my parents told me about that, and you know, that's the kind of plan I had. And so I remember people would mention like, oh yeah, being a digital nomad where you had your online business, you can travel around like fucking, you know, working on the beach on your laptop. And I remember thinking about that, and it's like, that'd be a cool life, but like I don't think that's really possible. It felt quite like alien to me, quite far away. Like, yeah, that's kind of what I want, but like, you know, I don't think it's really possible. And I didn't see it's possible because there was no one else around me that was doing it. I didn't say anything about it, but then Hamza starts speaking about starting a self-improvement YouTube channel, and at this point I'm like, well, you know, I've been doing YouTube for ages, trying to start with like faithless channels and shit, and my Fortnite channels and all that stuff, and so I'm like, well, you know, self-improvement, I like self-improvement, YouTube, I like doing YouTube, I might as well do it. And in the past with my Fortnite channels and stuff, it's like I showed my face on them, like my gaming channels, I showed my face on those channels. It's like I wasn't scared of that much of showing my face. And I thought, you know what? It'll actually be pretty cool to have a YouTube channel about me, you know, because I love YouTube, and having a channel about me, like under my name and me talking about self-improvement, I really, really love that. And so I start to watch videos that Hamza's making about how to make a self-improvement YouTube channel, and there was like 3 different videos, and there was like a live stream, and I watched all of it like 10 times, bro. And that I remember, I was kind of like, I was journaling about it. Fuck, I've actually got the journal somewhere here. Oh shit, hang on. Yeah, bro. When running today, I also had another thought. It was to make my own channel similar to Hamza's and Preslav Nikolov, whoever the fuck that is. Obviously not as okay, what the hell? I'm just fucking shitting on some other guy who started a self-improvement channel. I originally thought about it because of the money. I was thinking about Hamza shifting towards business, but if the channel is centered around money, it won't get anywhere. But I think it would be a good idea. It could help me to learn how to teach. I'll think on it, but I still need to do some wall staring. I need to get running with Jacob again. Jacob was like my friend, the friend on self-improvement. Ha ha ha. Then the next day, first line of the journal. I'm going to start a self-improvement YouTube channel. I will say that again. I am going to start a self-improvement YouTube channel. I need to, when I'm recording, speak to someone, not a camera. That someone could be younger than me, it could be Jacob, it could be other kids at my school, I'm not naming them. I need to have a target audience. The videos will get better as I go on. It won't be perfect instantly. It won't be perfect instantly. You need to be as authentic as you can. You need to be 100% authentic. Don't copy. Make it your own style. I'm just fucking making notes from the videos of what I was watching from Hamza, man. Speak to someone, not a camera. Be 100% authentic. Grow from the hate. Don't give a fuck about the hate. You'll get better over time. There's so many people wanting someone like me. Bro, and that was it. I had the idea to start a self-improvement YouTube channel, and then, you know, I wasn't super certain on it, but I was pretty fucking certain on it, as you could probably read there. And so I remember what happened. My friend, I mean, I've said his name, Jacob, the one I was on like self-improvement with at the time. It's like he, you know, we had like a run planned at our local park, whereas like, you know, I was just sort of like training him in running, because I've always been pretty good at running. I think I've just got good genetics for running, but I was sort of like training and running, and so we had our run arranged at the park that evening, and I remember I met up with him at the park, and I remember we just sat down on a bench like before our run, because it's like, he lived right next to the park, I had to run like fucking 5 kilometers to this park or some shit, so I was already a bit tired, so I had a little rest before we were going to train him. And I remember we were just speaking with him there, it's like, I can't remember what I said exactly, but I told him like, I'm going to start a self-improvement channel, like, what do you think of that? And he was like, yeah, that's a pretty good idea. I remember him saying, like, you just got to make sure the kids at school don't find it, you know, make sure everyone else at school doesn't find it, because, like, they'd make fun of you so much for it. I remember him saying that. But I was like, yeah, like, you know, Jacob, my friend, he's giving me the thumbs up, this is a good idea, I'm not being delusional. And so, you know, I decided to start it, and so, over the next couple of days, yeah, the next couple of days I just start to think about it and all this. I'm just like making notes about it. I'm doing like pros and cons for if I should do it. Bro, I was fucking listening at pros and cons of if I should ask a girl out or not, bro. Oh, that's another thing. I didn't end up asking her out, and that was a whole nother thing because that happened like right before everyone found my channel, but that was a whole nother thing, bro. Yeah, so this is before I start my channel. I wrote, school social life is so horrendous. I was literally thinking of if there was a way to homeschool me. I need to start making fucking money so that I can escape this fucking torture machine. I could easily learn everything I need in under 2 hours a day, then I could be doing sports clubs and everything. That's a life, that's a real life. I'm going to get over all this bullshit, then get on with YouTube. It's gonna be great. Wednesday, the 21st of June. I recorded my first video today. It's not too bad actually, quite happy with it. I wouldn't actually mind too much if the girls at my school one of the girls, that girl I said I had a crush on saw it. I'm proud. I need to joke more and stuff. When I swear, it's funny. Yeah, that's the thing, bro. But I would swear like every 3 words, bro. It was ridiculous, and that's the thing I was saying. I was speaking like Andrew Tate. I needed to come up with a distinctive surname. I decided on using a fake surname. Yeah, Sam Springwood. Next day, spent all day after school deciding on music for the video. I was going for like an 8-bit GeoWizard style. I was editing the videos, and I was learning Japanese at the same time as well. That's a side point. That's because this is a side point, but like after the summer holidays were ended, I had like a school trip to Japan that was like, it's some fucking like diplomatic shit for like a like peace conference, like a UNESCO peace conference or some shit. So it was like, I had this like 2-week trip to Japan that's fully paid for, like with the school, that was like straight after the summer holidays. And so even when I was going to go back to school, I was going back to school for like 1 day before I had this trip to Japan. So I was learning Japanese at the same time. Oh, can I remember any? Oh, no, I know like some words like mizu is like water and gohan is like rice. Ichi, ni, san, shi, go, roku, nana, achi. It's like 1 to 8, I think. I don't remember any of it. But bro, at the same time, I was still falling off. I was still like watching bullshit YouTube in all the evenings and everything. And yeah, I just continue uploading. I'm trying to find the point where they found it. Bro, I remember like, it was like near the end of school and we had this kind of like, I don't want to use the term fight club because it was like a 1 fucking day thing. It was like everyone huddled around, we all like fought each other, which was fun. I remember I made a YouTube video about that, like at school we have a fight club. And I remember that was like one of the videos I got made fun of for the most, bro. And I remember I was like near the end of the school year, I was out of school so much because like this Japan trip and everything, we had to do like loads of fucking shit going down to London for it and whatnot. I remember I did this like mental toughness challenge for one of my videos, and that's where I had to ask out that girl that I liked. And I was like waking up at 5 AM for the first time and recording it and vlogging it all. This is before anyone found my channel here. This is like the very end of year 9 here. Tuesday, the 18th of July. People from my school found my TikTok account. At about 11:30, Alex, which is the kid I said that messaged me, he messaged me. I checked the TikTok. This girl at school commented. I knew they had found it. I probably said fuck about 100 times while pacing around, deleting all the videos. I put my YouTube on private too. I didn't think, I just deleted everything, then deleted my account. It was like I was doing everything automatically, impulsively. Then I just sat on my chair for 15 minutes, unable to move. I had some thoughts of people at school saying shit, that I could probably stay off school until the summer holidays. I keep saying fuck. It's not that bad though. People will forget. I don't care about them anyway. I've said so many times before that they're all brain dead dickheads. That was the fucking, and that's Samuel's Andrew Tate language coming out there. Brain dead dickheads. I'm putting in much more effort than they are. The only reason I feel like this is simply the biological shit. I'm scared that I will lose status in the tribe and be kicked out and die. what I'm saying there is like the fucking, biological reflex in your brain that if you're being fucking socially outcast, then, you're gonna not feel good because you feel like you're gonna be kicked out the tribe and, die alone. But they're not my tribe, so there's no reason to be scared. I'm in my own tribe, the online self-improvement communities, and they're proud of my work. I need to stay off school for the rest of this week now. I want to go monk mode, disassociate with technology and all this shit. I might do the wall staring now. Obviously, Hamza's saying about, sit at a wall, stare at it to discover your purpose. It's strange because last night I was thinking of how shit my content was, knowing I could be so much better. And then this, let's go wall stare, find out if YouTube is my purpose or not. Bro, and then I'll start planning a response video to the kids in my school, man. That was crazy. And then, like I said, as I explained in the intro, for the rest of that summer, like those 6 weeks, like I said, I had the fucking big plan that, everything was going to go well, and I was going to make the money, and I was going to drop out. That didn't really happen, but I continued making my YouTube videos and everything. at the time. Like, if you go back onto the oldest videos on this channel right now, like, whoever's editing this, please, like, put a screenshot of, like, the very oldest videos on my channel. It's, you know, like, how quitting video games changed my life. Sigma males are wasting their lives. And I was making these like vlogs and short films and shit because I just felt like I was really loving that. Self-improvement ruined my life. How to dominate this school year. Yeah, I remember it was like the first like what 12 videos, 13, 14 videos I probably made during the summer holidays. And then, you know, it was time to go back to school. And it's like I said, I had to go back to school for that like 1 or 2 days, I think it was. And when I told you that story of like riding my bike into the school and like in PE class, like that was like the first day. But I remember after that, it was like, it was just off to this trip on Japan. And it was like, it was me. And then it was like 3 of the girls in my year were on this trip. And like to be fair, like they didn't even really care. Like they didn't give a fuck about it, bro. Like I got on. I didn't really know them. I sort of got on well with them. I didn't really like talk to them a ton. But it was this big like fucking diplomatic trip to like Japan. It's like we basically just tourists there in Japan and had to go to some like conferences and shit. But that was a pretty fucking awesome trip. I really fucking loved that trip, bro, because it was like I met. You know, keep in mind, I'm the fucking biggest geography nerd ever. Okay, and there was this trip where it's like this fucking peace conference with like loads of other countries from all around the world. Okay. And like all these other kids from like all these other countries like coming in, and it's like we're going around like we basically just spent 2 weeks together, bro. It was fucking awesome, man. Like just like meeting people from other countries. I'm still in contact with a few of them. Like I can't remember Andrew from Poland. Like there was this guy from Mohammed from Oman. Like there was a few from there was like some from Singapore. There's some girls from Singapore. There was like this guy. There was this guy from the Netherlands, bro, and he gave me some like good advice for my YouTube and shit, which is awesome. And when I said this guy, he was like fucking like 50 years old, bro, but he was like some some teacher for teachers or some like trained professors or some shit like that, and he gave me some good advice on how to teach people. And that was fucking awesome, bro. And the food was so good in Japan, and that was like a really awesome trip. And I really feel like I leveled up a ton there. Like I leveled up my social skills, like. I leveled up just my ability to be a good human being, and it's like there was another school, like a primary school from the UK, where it's like, you know, loads of kids that are like younger than me, and it was like this will sound weird, but it's almost like I became like an older brother figure for them, or at least a few of them for that week. If that makes, and that might, I don't know how to explain this, and like I don't know, it's like. You know, I was just kind of like, you know, obviously there was the teachers and everything, but it's almost like I became their friend, but almost like in an older brother way, because obviously, you know, they're like 9 years old or some shit, and I was like 14. You know, and that like, I don't know, I felt like just a lot older and a lot more like responsible and like a lot more grown up, and I think that really helped me that trip. Especially with my YouTube being this new thing, and it's like I told people about it, and I told people about it being proud, and I showed a couple of them, and I was like, you know, I was proud of it, which is really, really awesome. You know, I really felt more purpose there, and it was fucking awesome. And it was like so hot there, it was like 35 degrees, but like I always do really well. For some reason, I started doing like really well in the heat, where I felt like so like healthy and so like just good with so much sun, and it was just you know fucking awesome, bro. You know that was the first time. I mean, that was when I got like fully consistent on NoFap and everything that period there, and so you know that felt fucking great as well, bro. And yeah, that was fucking good. And then, you know, it was time to go back to school. And so I go back to school, and like I'm going back to school for real for this time. Like I'm like 2 weeks behind on schoolwork, but I don't really give a fuck. And you know, I'm properly in school like for the long run here. Like, I'm playing the long game here. I'm back in school. I can't avoid school anymore. I've got to go to school consistently every single day. And so I just kind of get into the routine of going to school, in all honesty. I remember I fell into a bit of a rut when I was like going back to school, and it's like I wouldn't really get, I would wake up like late and I wouldn't get much work done, and I'd watch YouTube, and I was in like a bit of a mini rut for like October, because I went back to school in like September, but for like you know, for September it's like we're kind of in Japan or like doing Japan shit, you know? And so October was like the first month I was back at school. In October I fell into a bit of a rut, but then I kind of climbed back out of that, and then come like November 2023, I like really got back into it a good bit. Like, you know, locking in, it's like I'd be waking up at like 5 a.m. every morning, and it was starting to get dark in November. I mean, it was properly dark in November. So it was like, you know, wake up at like 5 a.m., it's dark, and then, you know, it's dark for like a couple hours, and I'm just like in my room grinding, you know, planning out my videos, and then what I'd do is like, I'd go to school and everything, and then after school, I would like come home and I would like go out running out into the fields and the countryside, and I'd record videos out there. Or usually on the weekends, I'd like record my videos, and I started uploading like daily self-improvement videos and everything like that. And it was like at school during that period, it was like, it wasn't that bad. I got used to it. It was like, people made fun of me and shit. And it felt painful. And like I said, that like weird biological shit in your brain when you feel like you're being kicked out the tribe. And so you get some weird like instinct in your brain of like, you're being socially excluded. And that just like intrinsically feels bad. That was still there. But I think like that was like the unconscious part of my brain. But the conscious part of my brain, I think, kind of got used to it, and I kind of like started to like it. And I got the fucking nickname Sigma Sam because they all watched that video where it was like Sigma males are fucking wasting their lives. Because bro, back then like being Sigma wasn't even a meme. Like that was before the meme was even a thing. At that point, though, I genuinely met people online who called themselves Sigma males because it was like, oh, I'm so Sigma. I'm like, I don't make friends with people. I'm a lone wolf. Like that was a genuine fucking thing at the time. And I made a video for them trying to call them out for it. So, and then I made that video just before it became a meme. And so they all see this video as being Sigma's becoming a meme. And so they fucking, they take it like a meme. But yeah, bro. I got the nickname Sigma Sam, and at first, like, I didn't like it. I didn't like that nickname. I didn't like to be excluded, but I kind of got used to it, and I kind of, like, settled into this new position. And it's like, I almost got used to the pain to the point where the pain didn't feel bad anymore. This all sounds so interesting. And this is the point I like to make a lot. Pain isn't, like, inherently a bad thing, okay? And pain doesn't necessarily have to feel bad. Pain can feel good. If you get, this is kind of like masochism, I think it's called. If you get used to pain and you get familiar with it, it can actually feel pretty good. And I think that's what happened with me, like this social exclusion, people like making fun of me, this, being socially outcast. That kind of like, it became a big part of my identity. Like when people would call me Sigma Sam, I would be like, yeah, in my head, I'd be like, fuck yeah, I am Sigma Sam. And like people would call me like Sigma, like, they'd call my name, like, get my attention. And this wasn't just like the kids that were trying to make fun of me. This just became my fucking nickname, bro. Like, random people who didn't even really know my YouTube. They would just call me like fucking kids, okay, who are like, in years, like 2 years below, when I was in like, I guess, year 10, it'd be like year 7s and years 8, who were like more connected in with like the year I was in, who's, we sort of knew. It's like they would call me Sigma, not knowing that I've got a YouTube channel and that's where their name come from. That just became my fucking nickname, bro. And it's like, I was fine with that. I actually quite liked it. I began to like it because it was like, it made me different, It gave me that like solid, self-image. That like, yes, I am different to you. Yes, you call me something different because I am different to you, And it was kind of like that feeling of like, I'm different to everybody that I had since I was younger. It was that feeling like really manifesting into reality. And so it kind of felt good because it was like some weird, part of my brain was now being proven to be true, if that makes sense. Even though it was painful, me being different was now being proved to be true. And so that November, when I really started to like properly lock in, it was like I would wake up early, like I said, and I'd get to work, planning my videos, and I'd go and record them. And when I was at school, it's like, I would kind of disassociate from everyone. And what I'd do is like, I'd go to school and I would just like kind of be on my phone when I could, and the teachers, they didn't really know about my YouTube or anything at that point and shit like that. So I just kind of, I'd have my phone. And it's like the fucking meta, bro. Okay, the meta. Let's say this is your fucking school book here. And you can't really, I don't think you can see the desk. But imagine you have like the desk here, okay? And the teacher's over that direction. What you want to do, okay? And I'm left-handed, keep in mind. But you'd have your pen in my right hand. And you'd lean over like that. And you'd like look, you'd basically have it as if you're like leaning down on the desk, looking at your book, okay? And you'd have the book on like the edge of the desk like this, and you'd have your pen, and you'd have your phone under the desk, or even better, if you were like far away from the teacher so they could see under the desk, you get your fucking foot and you get your foot up like on your leg, like so you're crossing your legs, and then you'd have your phone like hidden behind your foot in a way. And you'd be like this, and you can just go on your phone, just like usual. Like it's only one hand, but like usual. And like you could just spend the whole lesson like that, and that's what I would do. Okay, that was my like fucking method, my tactic. And I just go on my phone, and what was I doing on my phone? Well, I was doing just random like work, like messaging people in my Discord server, not usually planning videos because that needed to be more focused, but messaging people, you know, or even just like fucking, you know, reading books or shit. Or if it was like, you know, a bass teacher that would let you like listen to shit, bro, I would just be listening to some Hamza video, some shit like that in the class, or some Hamza course in the class. You know, pretending you're like, oh yeah, put on music so you can focus on your work. And I'd be like, yeah, I'll put on music, and then fucking, you know, listen to the Hamza on my earbuds. And then I'd just be fucking pretending to do work, or I'd be fucking like drawing some shit, bro. You know, and the thing is, at school, it's like, I'm very grateful that I'm just able to learn shit and just remember it. As in, like, I just get things. Like, I don't know how this happens, because like some kids, like, you know, they spend so much effort learning and studying, and then they still get bad grades. Whereas me, I didn't put any effort into studying at all. We're gonna get more into that later, like studying for my final exams and all that shit, and what I did during my final GCSEs. But it's like, I was always just able to like hear the teacher mention shit while doing other stuff on my phone, and I just know it. I just like understand the subject, or it's like I would intuitively get it, if that makes sense. And it's like I'd just be able to learn it and hear it like once or twice, and there it is. It's remembered for fucking ever. And it's like now I've probably forgotten it and everything. Like if you had to ask me to name fucking like, you know, eukaryotic or prokaryotic parts of the cell, like I think eukaryotic has a nucleus and prokaryotic it doesn't have a nucleus, if I remember correctly. You know, like plants, they have fucking plasmids, and like the cell, yeah, plants have cell walls, but animals don't have cell walls. Animals just have cell membranes, and you know, I can sort of remember this shit. If I had to remember it, I probably could. And you know, I've just been grateful that I can get like really good grades without having to study, and so that's what I would do. Like, no, I was getting good grades, and so no one really gave a fuck that I wasn't studying. Like my parents didn't, the teachers didn't. You know, I was seen as like the teachers. They would always say on parents' evening, "Oh yeah, Sammy puts no effort in whatsoever, but he does really really well." And like I was just like grateful that it was that way. But yeah, but that November, when I was really starting to focus on YouTube again, that November was when shit really picked up. I think I started the month at about 400 subscribers or some shit like that. And I started doing daily uploads. I started doing like daily shorts. I was copying Jack Piggott at this point. And if you know Jack Piggott, this guy was only at like 19k subs or like 12k subs or some shit like that at this time. And I found him, and I was, you know, started watching him. I was sort of like, oh, this guy's doing pretty well. I think he has potential to blow up. Keep in mind, he's at like 19k subs right here. He's big, but not huge. And so I start copying his shorts, and he starts to blow up. And because I'm copying his shorts, I also start to blow up. And you know, I don't know when he got big, but you know, this is when Jack Piggott starts like getting proper big, like his first big blow up. And I'm sort of tagging along with that. You know, I gained like 1,000 subs in this month of November, which is really fucking awesome, bro. And I remember Jack Piggott, he like, you know, he sees me copying him, so he follows me on Instagram and he starts coaching me on YouTube and this sort of shit, which is really awesome because like I was 14, just started some self-improvement channel, bro, and like, you know, big Jack Piggott like contacting me to help me, which is really awesome. But I remember, yeah, that month it was fucking great, bro. That was like awesome, consistently uploading, gaining like 100 subs some days, you know. But at minimum, I was gaining like, you know, 10 subs a day. You know, but some day, like one day I gained like 150 subs in one day, bro, which is crazy. I remember I gained like 100 subs because I put some comment on Hamza's channel on one of his videos, basically being like, oh, thank you, Hamza, you've inspired me to start my own self-improvement channel, in brackets, it's the one I'm commenting from, thank you. And then I got like loads of my like old YouTube accounts to like the comment, and I commented it just as he uploaded it. And that comment was like the very top comment, and I gained like 150 subs from like leaving a comment on one of his videos, bro. And even now, like when I go on calls with guys like you, when you join my school and everything and that sort of shit, it's like sometimes when I ask people, oh, where did you find me? They'll say, oh, I found you from a comment on Hamza's channel 2 years ago. And like I still get people fucking being like, oh yeah, I found you from that comment, bro. And that was like mid-November. And yeah, that November I really fucking blew up, bro. The Discord got really solidly big. And then come that December, I think that was when Hamza started to be in his like fatherhood arc and everything. It's like the Christmas holiday started. And at this point, like Hamza, he had started Adonis school and everything at this point, but it was like $500 to join and then $100 a month. And that's how he started it. Like, that's how Andrew Kirby got him to start it with the pricing model. And so, like, I couldn't afford that shit, bro. Like, my dad paid me £20 a month pocket money, okay? And I'd get some Christmas money every now and then. And Hamza, I remember, because I was on his email list and I read all the emails, bro. Hamza changed my life. I was like, you know, I consumed everything he produced at that point. And he sends out an email basically I'm doing a temporary discount, getting rid of the $500 joining fee, and so it's just $130 a month flat. And so I was like, oh, fucking shit, bro. Oh, shit, this would be awesome. And I only had like £20 in my bank account. And Hamza was like, oh, yeah, this offer will only be up for 24 hours. And so, bro, I remember I messaged my dad being like, can you like lend me some money to join this? Because this was like a week before Christmas. And so I knew I was going to get some Christmas money to be able to pay for like a month of Adonis school. And so I was like, can you lend me this money? And it was like, what's it for? And so I made a fucking like Google Slides presentation. I might be able to find it actually. I made like a fucking like Google Slides presentation on this shit. In fact, no, it was Google Docs, wasn't it? So this was like the fucking Google Doc I made to pitch my dad to convince me to join Hamza's Adonis school. And so I remember like he was at my, like I had this up on my monitor, this doc, and I kind of explained it to him. Like all of this and everything. And I remember he looked at like what courses you get. And there was like the alpha male sex course, and he was like, why do you want to buy an alpha male sex course? And I was like, well, yeah, I'm probably not going to use that. But there was like all these courses and whatnot. I was particularly interested in the YouTube course. And I was like, come on, like, I need this. And he was like, okay, and he lended me the money for it. And I joined Adonis school. And I remember I went through like the coaching course because he just released like a new coaching course, like how to start doing coaching from your YouTube channel. And I remember like I followed it. I set up the Stripe payment link and the Calendly link and all this shit, and put it in my description. And I had all that set up to like, for my coaching offer and whatnot. I know I was going to charge like £50 per month for my coaching. Because that's what Hamza said to do in the course. And I remember it's like I then went and like messaged and Hamza didn't say to do this. I just thought, this is an idea. I went and messaged everyone in my Discord server being like, hey bro, do you want to buy self-improvement coaching off me for a month for £50? And I remember two of the guys in my community who were pretty active. It was Kuba, he's Polish, but he's from Newcastle in the UK. I'm still, in contact with him. And then Tim Chilton from Toulouse in France, who I'm also still in contact with. And this is a side pump, but we ended up doing a big meetup and with a few of the guys in Manchester, which was pretty sick. And they were my first two clients, and they both paid £50. Oh, well, Tim, I accidentally charged, because he was from France, I accidentally charged him €50, and so only got like £40. But they were my first two sales, and I got them like around Christmas within like the first week of me starting coaching, and that was how I made my first £100, bro. And I think that was over the Christmas holidays, and it's like I post it to Hamza's Adonis gang and shit like that, and it gets pinned, and like my name was Sam Millison at that point. Yeah, you might recognize that if you were in Adonis gang potentially. And it's like, I carried on pushing through the coaching. That was like December. And then I think January I got like $150 a month sale because I increased my prices. And at that point I was like back at school. But over Christmas actually I got an ice bath. And that was really awesome. So it's like I had the fucking ice bath. And when, school started up again, it was like January, the new year. And I was like fully locked in. I was waking up at 4 a.m. getting in the ice bath and then getting to work, like planning my videos or like making my courses for my coaching and, figuring out how to make coaching. And it was like, at that point, bro, I didn't know shit about business. I was changing my entire business every 2 weeks and just like, I was getting a sale every now and then and whatnot. And I was just, changing shit, but in Adonis school like that, I really felt like I had a proper strong community in Adonis school, bro. Adonis school is fucking awesome, man, and that's when I learned about authenticity and I learned about purpose and all this shit, and I started making more videos and like doing business and selling coaching and the shit like that. I was basically just like learning stuff from Hamza and then teaching it on YouTube and whatnot. And like in school at that time, bro, I just continued disassociating from everybody further. Like, it continued on, like, yes, they're making fun of me, but I didn't really give a fuck. Like, I got used to the pain of it at that point. And it's like, I had, like, one good, solid friend, Jacob. And it's like, every day at school, it's like, I'd wake up at 4 a.m., ice bath, get to work. Then at like 8 a.m. I'd have to start getting ready for school, and like 8:40 or some shit. No, like 8:25 or 8:20. Like my parents would want me to leave at like 8:20 so I could get to school a little bit early. I'd ride my bike to school, and like I'd get into school and I'd lock my bike up and I'd just go to the first class, and I'd just be on my phone. Like I would literally just be on my phone or like talking to my friend who was on self-improvement. I'd just kind of disassociate. And then at break times and shit, it's like we wouldn't talk to anyone, and we'd just go and sit in the library and I'd just eat my food. Obviously it was literally just like chicken and eggs I think I had, and like it was like chicken and eggs and like salad and mayonnaise and shit I'd have in this fucking tub. And it absolutely reeked, and fucking no one wanted to sit next to me when I was eating my lunch, bro, because this shit fucking reeked, bro. The mayonnaise and eggs smelled so fucking strong. And so, but I didn't care, of course. And so I'd just sit in the library, or you weren't allowed to eat in the library, so I'd sit like outside the library eating my food, or in like the refectory, in like the cafeteria, eating my food, and then we'd go to the library and I'd either read there or do more work on my phone or shit like that. And then I'd come home, and when I come home, I'd sometimes get some more like work done, but oftentimes I kind of fell off, and I'd eat my peanut butter. I'd always eat a fucking peanut butter sandwich as soon as I got home from school. Man, I'm craving a peanut butter sandwich right now, bro. Bro, I swear, half my diet used to be peanut butter, because obviously it's like I couldn't afford to just eat meat and eggs at that point. And so I'd eat so much peanut butter and bread, and my parents were like, "You're eating too much peanut butter, it's too expensive." A jar of peanut butter would last me like, 2 or 3 days, and it was £1.50. And my parents were like, I don't know what they were going on about, saying it's too expensive or some shit like that. I wanted to spend like £10 a week on peanut butter, bro. Because obviously they paid for my food and everything. I was like 14, 15 at this point. And yeah, I would just come home from school, but then what would happen is like, I wasn't always super consistent in the evenings, and what would happen is like, I'd end up, watching some bullshit YouTube, staying up late to like, pretty late, like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. And then I'd be waking up at like 5 a.m., bro. And I'd be getting like 3-4 hours of sleep some nights, bro. Or sometimes I'd just go to bed at like midnight, and I get like 4, 5, 6 hours of sleep, and it really wasn't the best. And I was like, I had like a smartwatch and shit then. I didn't have a Whoop, I had a smartwatch, and I was tracking it with the watch, and it's pretty fucking bad. And I remember I've recorded this video as like a 1-week sleep challenge to try and make my sleep better. And I just quit it 3 days in, bro, because I just couldn't fucking, stop watching this bullshit YouTube. And like, I was waking up early and grinding, and then at the same time I was still fucking sabotaging myself. And I was just fucking pushing through it. I was grinding. I had, no real friends at school. I was socially outcast. The business wasn't doing too well. I was always like overthinking, because Adonis school was like $130 a month. Then my school community was $100 a month. Or at one point I had 2 school communities, because I was like, I was doing weird business shit. And then it's like I had Calendly, and then I had Loom, and I had all this shit, and I was charging $150 a month, and I was like, just getting by, and my cash was going lower and lower. And at one point, this like Polish guy in Adonis school, like lended me £100 so that I could stay inside Adonis school and everything, for like another month, because I had to like leave. I made a post saying like I'm gonna leave, and he lended me like £100 for me to stay inside, which I'm so like what was his name? It was like Stefan Growlerchich or some shit like that, bro. He was like Polish, but mad respect to that guy. I think his name was Stefan or something like that. But yeah, and it's like I was just fucking grinding, bro. Like in the mornings, like working really fucking hard, but then like, oh fuck, and oh, that hurts. But then in the evenings, I'd just sabotage myself, and it was like so fucking hard, and I had to grind through this shit so fucking much, bro. And it was a really fucking big grind, man, and I kept pushing through. And then come like March, so it was a couple of months of that, and then come like March, and by the way, with my parents as well, it's like they were pretty supportive of what I was doing. My dad was always like, yeah, prioritize school first. I never prioritize school first, but I'd tell him like, yeah, I'm prioritizing school. Yeah, I'm paying attention in class. I wasn't, okay, but I tell him I was, just to like avoid that conversation of like, oh, I want to drop out, because they didn't know I hated school really. Like, they knew the kids at school made fun of me, but I didn't tell them the extent that it was that I was socially outcast, okay? I didn't make that extent clear enough to them. Because, like, I was kind of embarrassed about it around my family. Like, in school, I was proud of it, but around my family, I was sort of embarrassed about it. And, like, my nan watches my videos, and she still does. Hello, Nan. I don't know if she'll be this far into this video, I don't know, but, I mean, she might do, if I'm talking about my story and not some random business shit. But yeah, with my family, it's like my parents were supportive of it. It's like my little brother watches my videos, but he doesn't really understand it. I mean, Jacob, hello. My little brother's called Jacob. It's like he might be in this video. I doubt he'll be watching this far into this video, because he'll get bored because he scrolls fucking YouTube too much, so he doesn't have an attention span. But yeah, come March, I'm like locking in. My parents know I'm making a little bit of money, and they're like, yeah, that's nice. My dad's like, yeah, that's cool, but they don't see it as like a fucking career path in the future. And so yeah, going forward into like March, all of a sudden, it was like the 3rd or 4th week of March. I'm like $150, $200 a month at this point, or some shit like that. And I'm like teaching self-improvement, like doing self-improvement coaching. But it's like, I'll coach you on self-improvement, but then the clients I had also wanted me to teach them how to do YouTube. So it was like, get consistent on self-improvement while starting a self-improvement YouTube channel. That was like the plan of it, basically. Yeah, come that like 3rd week of March, all of a sudden, bro, my business just fucking blows up, bro. It just absolutely blows up. And I go from like $200 a month to like $1,800 a month. It was $2,000 a month total, including school affiliates. I had like 12 clients at $150 a month, which was $1,800. And then I had $200 a month in affiliates. And so that comes out there to like $2,000 a month. And I remember in like between March and April, I made like $2,500 or $3,000 between those 2 months. And I remember, bro, like shit just fucking blew up, and it was absolutely awesome, man. Because it was like, it felt like all my hard work was paying off, and it was like, summer was becoming, it's becoming spring. Summer was getting closer. It wasn't depressing winter anymore. Like in the UK, because I mean, if you're in America, it'd be different. But like, because in the UK, we're further north than you. It's like we have like really dark winters, where in the winter it's like getting dark at like 3:30 when you're getting home from school, and it gets light at like 7:30 when you're going to school. But then in the summer, it's like it'll get light at like 4 a.m. and then it'll get dark at like 10 p.m. or like half 10 p.m. Um, and so you basically get like really, really dark and then really, really light. But in between that, you got a period where it's like, it's getting lighter really fast. And so there's a period in like April where like the clocks change as well. And so it feels like you go from like fucking deep dark winter to like summer in like a 2 week period. That was that 2 week period. At the same time, I go from like sleep deprived, fucking depressed, to like business doing well, and that gives me motivation, so my sleep's doing better. And so it's like I go from the fucking bottom, fucking trenches, to now like life is fucking awesome, bro. And that was like a fucking big jump I made. And I remember the kids at school, they see this as well, because they're all fucking stalking me. They're booking fucking sales calls with me through my Calendly link, pretending to be some random shit. And they all see me like doing really well, and they're like, oh shit, he's actually doing it. And none of them like admitted it, but I was proud. I was like, yeah, bro, I fucking proved you wrong. And it was fucking awesome. And I remember telling my parents about it. I remember what happened was that when I told, because I didn't tell them about it for a while. They all thought I was still just making a couple £100 a month. But I remember it was like when my grandparents and my auntie and my cousin was over here, and they were all eating dinner, and I came downstairs. And I think I just decided, you know what, I'm going to tell them. And I just told them in front of everyone. And they were like, oh, wow. Like, it wasn't like shocking, but it was like, oh, wow, that's actually like really good. They're proud, and they were like, well done. And I was like, feeling good. I was like, proud. And yeah, I hit 2K per month when I was 14 years old teaching self-improvement coaching. Or at that point, it was like, I'll teach you self-improvement, and I'll teach you how to do self-improvement YouTube, and I'll maybe also teach you how to do coaching for yourself. It was a pretty like shitty, wishy-washy offer where I kind of sold it through a school sales page for like $150 a month, but it was what it was, and I got my traffic from YouTube, and I got some of the traffic from like school as well. And it was fucking awesome, bro. It felt really good. I remember I bought my GoPro as well. I've still got it. Where is it? I bought my GoPro, and that was awesome. And bro, I remember, this is actually crazy. I bought the GoPro. It was like the newest GoPro I bought, because I was like, I'm balling, bro. I'm making so much money. I buy the newest GoPro, which is like £400 or some shit like that. And then it turns up, but someone's like stole it out the box. Like the delivery driver stole it, and that's just a big thing we have here in the UK, like Amazon parcels being stolen. And I got some like random other like LED lights or some shit instead. So obviously we send it back, but Amazon are really fucking bitchy with their returns and shit like that. And so it was going to be like a month until I got my money back, basically. And so that evening, it wasn't even that evening. I think it arrived. I realized the package had been stolen. I just go back on Amazon and just buy another one to arrive for the next day, bro. Okay, because I was like fucking desperate to go out recording with this GoPro. And I remember I go out, I get this GoPro comes back, and I'm balling, and I start making these really good YouTube videos consistently and everything, and they really help my business as well. It's fucking awesome. And I'm like on the fucking high. And I remember like the Easter holidays come, so it's like 2 weeks off school. And it's like, because I was really into mountain biking. I was really fucking love biking at that point. Because it was like getting lighter. It was more sunny, and so like going out riding like in the mud, it was no longer like really, really muddy. It was now like, actual nice like loamy ground. So it's like really good for biking and everything. And so I'm doing way more mountain biking. It's like I'm feeling athletic. I'm talking to this girl from my school, and so I feel all fucking alpha and everything. And it's like I'm running a ton. I'm fit. Business is going good, and the business is relatively automatic. It wasn't a ton of work. It was like relatively automatic because I was selling through a sales page. And it's like I've got so much social status in Adonis school because I was like the only guy who had like basically made business work at that point. And it's like I'm feeling good, and so I've got this like mountain biking trip planned in for like a week with my friend Jacob, because I said he was into mountain biking. We're going to like Bike Park Wales and everything. And it's like, I was fucking balling, bro. It was, everything's good. And so I remember one night, I was like, I was chilling out with my family, with my little brother who's also called Jacob. And I was playing FIFA with him, just chilling out, playing FIFA with him. And I still play FIFA with my little brother now. That's something we've always done, like playing football together. And so I was just chilling there, I wasn't getting a ton of work done at that point because I didn't need to, bro. I was just like comfortable. I was enjoying my success. And so I'm playing FIFA with him, and I'm enjoying it. And I was thinking back to like, when I was younger, when I was like his age, when I was like 9 or 8 or whatever, playing FIFA career mode and whatnot, and like fucking, going crazy, playing career mode, like going ultra realistic. Like it was like Forest Green Rangers or Forest Green Rovers. I always played as for some reason. They started in like EFL League 2, and you'd like do a road to glory to get them to win the Champions League and shit. And I did that so many times, and I'd watch YouTubers doing FIFA, and I was thinking back to that, and I was like, bro, FIFA was pretty fucking fun, bro. And so I was playing with my brother, and this was the start of the Easter holidays. I'm making money, so I'm like fucking balling, bro. Like life is awesome. It's sunny, and it was warm at this point too. After it being so cold, and it was like certain, it was just perfect. Like shit is just perfect, bro. And I'm fucking loving life. It feels like the past year of all this work I've done has just paid off, and it feels like I'm just the man. I'm fucking balling, bro. I'm texting this girl from my school, and it's just go. I'm fucking awesome, bro. And I'm just comfortable, and it's like epic. And I'm playing FIFA with my brother, and I'm thinking about FIFA, and I'm like, you know what? I'm balling, bro. I've got money. I'm just gonna go, because it gets late. My brother's going to bed, but my sleep schedule's always naturally been later, and because it's now the Easter holidays, I can now also wake up later, and so I'm going to bed at like 12 at this point. But it's like I'm not going to bed at 12 because I'm being a bitch. It's like I was going to bed at 12 because I was normally like sort of getting some work done, or I was like watching a film or shit like that. So I wasn't like fucking degenerate fucking watching BS YouTube and porn and shit like that. Like, I was more like chill with it. But I thought, you know what? What is the harm in me just going and playing FIFA in the evenings for an hour? Because I'm balling, bro. It's like I've got the success. It's chill. And so I remember going into like it was like CD Keys, like the website where you buy like the game keys, so you don't have to pay full price. And it was like £20 or something like that for the new FIFA game or whatever, like FIFA 23, I think it was, or FIFA 20. FIFA, I don't know. If it was like April 2024, that would have been FIFA 24, I think I would have got. So I download FIFA 24, I like pay like 20, £30 for it or some shit like that, bro. And I get it on my PC. And I remember like at that moment of like, should I do it or not? Should I download it or not? I actually had this thought, and it was so interesting. And I remember this thought really vividly. I was thinking like, am I getting complacent? Is this like the turning point of like my downfall? Should I really do this? I think about it for a moment, and I'm kind of sitting there, and then I look at it, and I'm like, bro, FIFA's so fun, bro. I'm just going to do it, man. It's fine. I can just delete it if I really need to. And so I download it, and I get onto it, and I load into like I just like play a kickoff match just to try and get all the settings right and everything. It's on PC. I've never played FIFA on PC before, so I load into like a normal match just to get all the settings right before I start my big career mode playthrough. And I realized, oh shit. I can't play FIFA on a fucking mouse and keyboard. Like, you can, but it's ridiculously hard. And so I'm like, oh shit, I need to get a PS4 controller. And I'm like, bro, I cannot be asked to, like, I'm not going to go and order a PS4 controller off Amazon and pay £50 for it. And then risk my family seeing it. Because I'm like, keep in mind at this point, bro, I've made so many videos about how, I've quit video games and video games are evil. And so me going back to video games, I'm not going to have anyone see. I know what I'm doing is wrong, but, I'm enjoying myself. So... I can't let anyone see it. And so it's like, I can't buy a controller because then my family will see it arrive. And so I'm like, bro, how do I get a controller? And then I think, hang on a minute. Downstairs where I'm playing FIFA, my brother's PlayStation, he's got 2 controllers. And I feel so fucking guilty about it, but like, I need to take one of his controllers if I need to play FIFA. And I'm like, okay, it's like midnight at this point, my whole family's gone to sleep. And I'm just sitting in my room, like downloading FIFA. And I'm like, because it took like half an hour to download. I'm like, shit, bro, like, do I want to do this? Do I want to like steal a controller from my brother? My little brother, Jacob, he's like, what, how old would he be there? Like, he's like 7 or 8. And like, we really love playing FIFA together. But do I really want to like take one of his controllers? And like just protect, because in my mind, because like he was like so disorganized with where he put his shit, bro. Like there was a really easy excuse where I could just be like, or not, but he could think he's just like lost it somewhere. And so I go out my room and I walk downstairs and the floorboards are creaking. I'm trying not to creak them. And I go downstairs and I look for the controller. I can't find the controllers. I'm like, bro, where are the controllers? It's because he's like put them somewhere else because he's always putting them in different places. And I find one of the controllers. And I remember there's one good controller and like one worse controller, and I decide to, which one did I take? Shit, I've just had a brain fart. I'm not sure. I don't think I took the good one. I think I took like the worst controller maybe. I think I probably would have took the worst controller because I was feeling really guilty about it. you know, Jacob, my little brother, I love him so much, bro, and I'm taking one of his controllers. And it's like, I'm not just taking one of his, because obviously it's not like he's bought the controller. It's like, obviously, you know, my parents have bought it for him. And it actually used to be my PlayStation as well. It's like, I'm not actually taking a controller from him. I'm taking away his ability to play FIFA with me and his ability to play FIFA with my mum, because he'd play FIFA with my mum. And it's like, I was kind of like trapping him to only be able to play FIFA by himself, and he loves playing FIFA with us. And so I felt really fucking guilty about it, bro. But I took the controller and I went up to my room and I figured out how to plug it into my PC and get it working for my PC. And I start playing FIFA and it's fun. And I start a career mode. I start a career mode with like Coventry City FC. And I think at this point we were in like League One or some shit like that. But by the way, I'm from Coventry, bro. We just got promoted to the Premier League. Fucking awesome, bro. Won the championship. Absolutely sick. We're back. But yeah, I think Coventry were in like League One at that point or some crazy shit like that. Or I think they might have been in the championship actually, but they were like pretty shit. And so I was like, you know, I'm gonna start a Road to Glory career mode with Coventry City FC. And so I started it, and it's fun. And I'm like getting used to FIFA and all the new mechanics because the game's been updated since like FIFA 15 or some shit, bro. Because I always played FIFA 15. That was the FIFA I played. And it's been updated a good bit, so I'm learning the new mechanics and everything, and I'm having fun, and I play this career mode, and I stay up till like fucking 3 a.m, bro, and then I go to sleep. And it's fun, bro, and so the next day, evening, I do the same thing again. And so I'm not going to play FIFA like when my family's awake, because like my desk, the way it is now, is like you can see the walls behind me, but before, it was like over there, like next to my window, but it was like facing the wall. And so if anyone like walked in, they would instantly just see my screen. And so it was like, I would not ever dare play FIFA when my family was awake. Because basically how it is, like my PC's down in the fucking corner now, but like I'll have the controller, and if I can just like fucking get I don't know how I can explain this, like, so let's say the fucking GoPro is a controller, alright? And so what I do, I basically have the GoPro, or not the fucking GoPro, I have the like PlayStation controller, and it needs to be plugged in, so I'd have the controller, but then my PC like is like a big like tower PC. Basically the wire had to be like plugged in like this, like to the top of it, like that. And so like if anyone walked in, they would like instantly see that I had a fucking PS4 controller plugged in. And so what I'd do, I'd have my little drawer here in my desk, and I'll have the drawer open. Yeah, so I basically have the drawer open, and I'd have like imagine the big tower PC, the PC that's down here. It was on my desk here, and it'd be like plugged in like this, and I'd have FIFA on my monitor here, okay, and. I basically learned the shortcut to be able to like quickly like switch tabs to be able to like, you know, close down the full screen FIFA, because it was weird on Windows. It's like it goes full screen, but then it goes into like HDR mode or some shit like that, so that when you switch on and off, the screen goes black for like 3 seconds or some shit like that. And so I had the shortcut basically ready to be able to switch onto like an empty Google Chrome tab in case anyone walked in. And I have the controller plugged in with the drawer open, okay. And so you know, let's say someone comes in my room, instantly, like reflex, you'll fucking like, you know, change the shortcut so the Chrome, you know, the screen goes black for a few seconds and the Chrome tab opens on top of FIFA. And then I'd be able to quickly put the controller in and go like that. And then this wire would still be sticking out the drawer going into the top of my PC. But, you know, if anyone asked about it, I'd just be saying, oh, you know, fucking, you know, transferring files, or gave them some, you know, weird technical jargon answer because my family's not really very techy. And so, like I said, it started out where I'd only play in the evenings, like when my family had gone to bed, like past 11 p.m. But then, like, I started to enjoy FIFA too much, and I was really enjoying it. And keep in mind, the business is still doing good here. I'm still doing some work on the business. That's the thing. I'm still like waking up and doing some work on the business. And then it's like I'll be going out running out into the fields. Like, I went out into the fields out in the countryside a ton. I'd go out running in the fields and like record some videos out there, and I'd still post the videos and shit. You know, I'd still be active in Adonis school and my communities and stuff like that. Like, I was still functioning, you know, and I was still getting stuff done. Obviously not to the degree I could do. And like, and then this was like the mid-May it was, and this is when I went on that big biking trip with my friend, which I'll tell you what happened on that biking trip in a second, bro, because that was a big, I'll go into that in a second, okay, because that's fucking disgusting what happened. And that really like fucked me up there, but it was like I just started playing video games and I was like functioning, like playing FIFA. I was like still functioning. It was just like this fun thing I did on the side, you know, in the evenings I play my FIFA. That's how I like decompress. That's how I enjoy myself. And it continues on like that, and it's like, you know, it's going pretty well. But eventually what happens over time is like I start playing FIFA, like I start playing earlier. Like instead of starting playing at 11 p.m, I'll start playing at 10 p.m. when my family's still awake, and I'd have to do that weird setup shit in case they came in. Or it'd always be my mum coming in, then I'd do it at like 9 p.m. and then 8 p.m, you know, in that sort of way. And then I keep going earlier and earlier, and I was playing, and At this point as well, I forgot to mention, like, because I was making money, I got onto like the keto carnivore diet, and so I was on like, really solid diet at this point. Really loving my food, like eating steak every day, steak and eggs, and it was like steak, eggs, and like courgette for some reason I really liked, and I just have that, and I'd have as much fruit as I wanted, like, an abundance of food, and I had all that nice stuff, and if I wanted to buy something, I could buy it, as long as it wasn't too expensive, and I was living in abundance, and the business wasn't growing. It like had a big spike and then kind of flatlined, and it wasn't growing. It wasn't like really growing, but it also wasn't really going down. Like the 150 people, but the 12 people paying 150 a month. Some of them were leaving, but then they'd be replaced by like new people, and I was sort of bouncing between like 9 to 11, kind of. No pun intended, saying 9, 11 there, but yeah, 9 to 11 people, and I was making decent money from it and whatnot, and so it was all right, and so I'd just be sort of comfortable, and I'd be playing more FIFA, and I did another like Forest Green Rovers playthrough and shit like that, bro, and that was pretty fun, and then eventually it was time for that like big biking trip to like Bike Park Wales, like mountain biking, okay, and it's fucking awesome. This trip is like sick because my friend Jacob, he's big on mountain biking too. He's just got like a full suspension bike as well, I think. And so it's like, basically he's just got a new really good bike. And so it's like he's, ready to go to this big bike park. This bike park, the trails we want to ride, they're pretty hard. And I know they're going to be challenging for us. But, and it's this big trip. And so, he comes around and like he basically stays the night, like sleeping here, so that we can basically leave really early to drive there in the morning. So it's in Wales, like a couple hours away. And we're in, obviously, Coventry in the Midlands, so it's like a few hours away. So he stays over the night. It's not really a sleepover. He literally just comes and he sleeps, and then we get up the next morning. But that was like, fun having him here for the evening, and spending. That sounds so weird, but spending the evening with him, like it felt like a sleepover, I guess, to a degree. And like all of that. But then yeah, it's time for the biking trip, and so we go driving there. And it's like I've ordered some like dark chocolate. It's just so odd. I was ordering something off Amazon, and Amazon just recommended me to like buy this like Montezuma's dark chocolate, I think it was. Like when I say dark chocolate, it's like 100% pure cocoa. So it's not even chocolate, it's just cocoa solids, but they just brand it as chocolate. And I got some of this, and I tried it, and I really fucking liked it. So I ordered a few more bars to like take with me on the biking trip, because it's like full of caffeine as well. And so it always like gives you this like really big high of like energy. And so we go on this biking trip, and we arrive there, and I have some of this dark chocolate, and it gives me so much energy. And so, we get the lift up to the top of the trail, and we start riding the trails. Like basically you get uplift to the top of the mountain, and then you ride down to the bottom of the mountain or the bottom of the hill, and then you get another uplift up there, and it's like, I don't know, 5-10 minutes drive up, and then you ride down for like, 20-30 minutes on the trails. You don't go straight down, like you obviously go down, like if you go straight down, you'd be way too fast. But now that's kind of how it is, and we're riding harder and harder trails, going faster and faster, like pushing ourselves up, we warm up, riding techier and techier and stuff. And mountain biking is this interesting thing, okay, where it's dangerous, you can really hurt yourself doing it, but it's fun because of that in a way. It's fun having the speed and whatnot, and yeah, with mountain biking, there's always a chance you crash, but it's kind of like, I was in the mindset of like, how fast can I push myself to go, in a way. And so I was pushing myself to go faster and faster, and it was fun. The adrenaline was coming through, And it's kind of like, this is interesting, because obviously you put on the brakes and you go slower, okay? And you're going around the berms and around the corners. And the thing is, it's kind of like, your brain does this, or at least for me, my brain does this weird thing where it's like, I just, some weird shit in my brain will suddenly like change like that, and I'm like, okay, for the next 3 seconds, I'm not going to use the brakes at all, and I'm just going to go faster. And I just keep pushing myself like that. And it's like, I'll just like hold on. I just kind of like have this weird thing in my brain, just like, oh, just hold on, just don't put the brakes, and then put the brakes, and then, slow down. And it's like, you're pushing yourself like that. And what happened was, I remember on one of the trails down, it was an easy trail. It was like a blue flow trail, so it's not graded hard, but my dad was in front of me, and my dad's pretty solid. Like, he's pretty good at mountain biking, and he can go a lot faster than me. He's a lot better than me. But he was in front of me, and he was going faster himself. And I was trying to keep up with him, and I was behind him. And my other friend, Jacob, he was like way behind us, because he wasn't, he wasn't as good, and he wasn't on as good a bike, and it's like, he also wasn't fucking high on dark chocolate. And so I'm keeping up with my dad here, and he's in front of me, and he starts to basically, take away, he's going even faster, he's pushing himself, and so I'm trying to keep up, and I'm really fucking pushing myself here, bro. And I remember, I'm going fast, and as I go around this berm, okay, my front tire washes out. basically what that means, the front tire slips out. So I'm taking a right turn like that, and you don't just like turning the handlebars, you tilt the bike, and obviously like the ground sort of like bends up, that's called a berm, and you're going around it, and then, so you're sort of like partially horizontal like that, and then the front tire washes out, and so I just go straight down like that, bro. And I go down like that, and keep in mind, I'm bombing it here, bro. I'm going so fast, okay. And what happens is I go down like that, and I put my hand on the ground, and I'm sort of like, because I'm turning, I'm like rolling around like that. And I've got this on GoPro as well. And I put my hand on the ground here, so imagine this is the ground, put my hand on the ground here, and keep in mind, this thumb here, okay, this is going to be pretty vulgar, pretty disgusting. This thumb here, I'd already dislocated it a few days before, where basically it was playing football in PE class, and I got it stuck, like, I was basically running, and I got this thumb, like, stuck in like this little like, you know, the fence on the side of the AstroTurf pitch. I got it stuck in like a hole in the fence and then tripped, and like I basically like fucking dislocated the thumb like that. But then it popped back in as soon as that happened. But then it was like, you know, it was weak and it was hurting. And as I crashed, I was sort of going over, but I put my hand goes on the ground. This all happens in like a split second, like literally milliseconds. But my hand goes on the ground like that. And what happens is my hand goes like that and it rolls back, okay? And rolls back like that. And this will sound pretty disgusting, but right here on my hand, I had like a cut, a mark there that looked like a thumbnail. What happened was my fucking thumb went back like that, and it rolls back, and my thumb goes all the way, and it was this fucking, it wasn't the big ball and socket joint, it was this joint here. That fucking like gets fucked up, and I've got like a little fucking mark there from my thumb. And I've actually still got a scar here, because like it fully like fucking dislocated, bro. Like the whole fucking shit is fucked up, and I like fully roll over, bro. I go like, I do multiple flips, like rolling, and then I come to a stop, and then the adrenaline hits me, and all like, because the bike's gone fucking down the hill. I don't even know where the fuck the bike is, but I'm still on the trail. I've rolled down the trail in a way, and adrenaline hits me, and I just get up, and I know there's like Jacob, my friend's gonna be behind us. I don't know how far he's behind us. I get up, bro, and I just like fucking sprint. And my dad heard it, because I probably screamed or some shit. My dad heard it, but he's going too fast to like slow down and get back to me. So he's gonna take like 30 seconds to get back to me probably. And so I fucking just get up, and I wasn't thinking at this point. And by the way, the fear you feel while you're falling like that is the worst fucking fear, and the pain you feel when you hit the ground is the worst fucking pain because it's so unexpected. And that was fucking horrible, that moment there. But I just get up and I just fucking sprint, and I sprint for like, I don't even know if it felt like I was sprinting for like 10 seconds, but it probably was like just like seconds or some shit. And I just fucking sprint into the bushes, bro, before I just kind of stop and like fall and like just like kind of collapse down onto my bum, and I was just sort of like sitting there. And then I just start going, because I was winded as well, I just start going, like that. And I keep saying it over and over, I think I've got a concussion, I didn't have a concussion, I mean, I might have had a concussion actually. I thought I had a concussion, and in my brain, the only thing was like, I've got a concussion. That was all I was thinking. And like, you know, my dad comes back up, and some other guy who's like, you know, a steward of the bike park or some shit hears it from like one of the lower trails and comes up, and Jacob comes up, and like Jacob goes and finds my bike and finds a GoPro, and my dad's here, and like we're taking all my pads, because you ride your like protection, like you got a full helmet on, you know, you got full fucking pads and all this shit on, so we're taking my pads off, and all my arms are like cut up and everything on this side, and like all my hands are cut up. I got, you know, got grazing my shirt, all my shirt actually. This is my sack of like loads of random old shit, bro. Oh shit, this is the shirt I wore on the last day of school. There's like 5 people who put their fucking name on it, bro. In the UK, when it's like the last day of school, you get your fucking shirt signed by everyone. And this was it. And there's like fucking like 5 people on there, bro. And my school shoes are in here, bro. Like, these are my fucking school shoes. We're going all nostalgic here, bro. I'm getting out the archives. There was my tie. That was my blazer there. Bro, I don't know why the fuck I'm doing this, but I am. It's content. Oh, shit. Is this a shirt? This is the shirt that I was wearing at the time. I'll show you that in a second, bro. What's that? I don't know. There's not really anything else in there. Bro, let me show you the shirt that I was wearing, okay? Because you will see what I mean. The crash was bad. Because I was just cut up like everywhere, bro. Because I like fucking rolled. And like the thumb was the worst part, but the thumb didn't hurt at the time. So let me find this shit. So you can see there's fucking dirt stains. Yeah, look at that, bro. Like, because you think like imagine I go over like that. And so yeah, all the backs up ripped there. Like I was all cut up through there. Yeah, so obviously I haven't really wore this shirt since. I didn't realize it was that bad. And I forgot how much the shirt got ripped up. And keep in mind that was like under fucking pads and shit as well, and it got ripped. I mean that part would have been under pads, but yeah. Basically, the crash is pretty fucking bad, and my dad comes up and he does some fucking concussion test on me, and we take my pads off, and it's painful as fuck, man. And I just sit. I think we just sit there for like 20 minutes as I just sort of like get my bearings because I'm in fucking shock, bro. And I remember I managed to like walk to the because we were actually like really near the bottom of the hill pretty much, and so like I managed to like with their support like we walk back or something like that. Oh no, that was it. Yeah, we walked back to like the bottom where the cafe is and shit. I remember they had these like fucking big ass bean bags, bro. And my dad was like, my dad and his friend were there, so they went back up to like do another few laps, bro. Because like they weren't fucking wasting their time at Bike Park Wales. But then me and my friends, we just like sat there in the cafe, and bro, there was just this big beanbag, and I just lay there, bro. I just fell asleep on this fucking beanbag. Like I just sat down, I just fell instantly asleep, and then they come back, and then you know I got woken up. And then it's like I get back in like the van that we drove there with, and I just sleep all the way there. Keep in mind, I crashed at probably like, only like 2 p.m. or some shit, but I just like fell straight asleep. And then that evening I don't eat, and I think the day after that I didn't eat as well. Like, I was just like in fucking shock, bro. You know, I just like fucking went straight to sleep after fucking crashing because I was just in shock. And then obviously you know the cuts and all that shit. They're you know they're the wounds that hurt at the time and everything. You know, and your head hurting. My head really hurt. But then all that goes away, and then I realize that over the next days, as those things stop hurting, the only place that's still fucking hurting is my thumb. And I knew it's like because my whole hand here was all cut up, so I knew it would hurt it. And I realized I probably whacked the ligaments or some shit like that. But the thumb, I still just couldn't put any pressure on it at all, bro. And like I couldn't do anything with it. And at the time, I didn't realize that the cut there was from my thumbnail. But then I kind of put two and two together, and I'm like, oh shit, you know, it's like my thumb went all the way fucking back, bro. And so it's like we go to the fucking hospital or some shit like that, and it gets scanned or something like that, and they're like, oh yeah, the fucking ligament's torn, or it's like fully been severed or some shit like that, bro. And they're like, oh yeah, it's probably gonna take like 10 weeks or some shit like that, because your fucking femur will heal faster than a fucking ligament, because ligaments, they got like no blood flow to them. And so I've got to fucking wear this like big like fucking thumb support shit, bro. I don't actually know where it's gone. It's in one of these drawers somewhere. But yeah, I've got to wear this fucking big ass thumb support shit, and bro, at this point, it's like my business is starting to die. I mean, it's not starting to die, but it's starting to just like go down. I'm like down, you know, instead of 2,000 a month, I might now be down to like 1,200 a month. I remember being at 1,200 a month for a while. Like May, you know, May I probably did pretty well, but then April is yeah, April comes before May. What the fuck? Yeah, April is when I did that like 2,000. No shit, yeah, it was $2,000, £1,500. And then like May, I think it was a little bit less, and then June it was a little bit less. And then it keeps going down, and I'll go into that in a second. And that's basically because like, you know, my thumb is fucked, okay? And it's like, it's sort of, you know, we're also going back to school then at the end of the Easter holidays and everything. And so it was like my thumb is fucked, and so I can no longer like ride my bike or do anything like that. I can't even run, because by running it would like fucking shake the joint and shit. And so it would be fucking like, by the way, just for context, even now, if I hold things the wrong way, I feel the fucking joint slipping. Like when I'm like carrying plates and like, you know, when you can like carry a plate with like one hand like that, I can't really do it with my right hand because like the fucking plate bit will like fucking like if bro, I do that, I feel the fucking joint slipping out. Like I could genuinely fucking do that and the fucking joint will pop out again. Like if I put pressure like that, I can feel the fucking like joint slipping. I don't like it, bro. Ligaments, they take so long to heal. It's still not fully healed now, bro. It's like I couldn't ride my bike anymore whatsoever. I couldn't really run. I could go out walking out in the countryside and shit like that. You know, but I really couldn't do any exercise. I obviously couldn't work out, bro. Like, how the fuck, you know, even when I bench press now, by the way, like, if I hold it wrong and the fucking weight goes on there, I feel the joint slipping. So I've got a bench press where the fucking, like, bar goes like that, you know, and it's, like, kind of like the bar's like that, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not properly holding it. I've just got, yeah, it was kind of fucked, bro, and I couldn't really exercise, and so I couldn't do any shit like that anymore. And the business starts going downhill, and I start, like, hating having to do all the calls, like the coaching calls for the business and everything. And at this point, I just kind of cope with it by playing more and more FIFA. And I'm still eating a really nice diet and everything, and I've got comfortable into that diet. And so it would be like every day after school, I'd start playing FIFA at like 4 p.m. instead, and I'd just spend the evenings playing FIFA. And it's like, I'd wake up at like 6 a.m. and get a little bit of work done in the morning, but then I'd just stay up playing FIFA, and then I'd go to bed like relatively early at like, 11 p.m. or some shit, because school was back up now. I had to wake up earlier, so I'd go to bed earlier. And I remember, man, I got close a few times to my mum catching me playing FIFA, and I had to get really fucking used to doing the fucking shortcut and then hiding the controller in the drawer. And like, she knew what I was doing. It was obvious. Regardless of what she saw, it was obvious, and my whole energy and demeanor would have changed, bro. And I remember at one point, I fucking do the short. This is so embarrassing, bro. Because she was making my food for me and everything, bro. She comes in with my food at like 5 or 6 p.m. or some shit like that, bro. And I think I do the shortcut, and I obviously put the controller away, because she would always knock before coming in. So I do the shortcut, put the controller away, I turn around like this, because my desk is over there, the door's like here. And I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. And she goes, oh, what are you playing? And I'm like, what? I don't think I even responded, to be honest. I can't actually remember how I reacted. I remember I made like a YouTube short on this a while ago, actually. But I can't remember what I said, but I remember just kind of partially ignoring it, and I turned around and be like, oh, and then just like change the fucking screen back, as if I just pretended she didn't see it. As I'm just getting all fucking like tense, like tensely breathing, and she like passes me my food, and I'm like, thank you. And then like I wait for her to leave the room, and bro, I remember I just like fucking, I don't know if I started crying then or some shit like that, man. But I was just like, bro, what the fuck am I doing? And it was like pure pain, because like, this is an interesting thing. As young men, as masculine males, we can deal with pain. Like, it's been scientifically proven that, if you got testosterone, then actually like pain can be kind of like feel good. That's what I was saying earlier. Like, pain can oftentimes feel good. Like when you're in the gym fucking bench pressing, it's pain, but it feels fucking good pain, When you're working hard in your business, it's pain, it's good pain. I'm recording this video right now, it's mental pain, it's good pain though, That pain, and that's the thing, your brain can kind of like close off from that pain, so it doesn't feel bad, it feels good. This pain was like purely bad pain. Like, it was when you having, like, even when you get into an ice bath, for example, it hurts, but like your brain releases endorphins, so it doesn't hurt as much, and it hurts at first, and then it stops hurting as much. You get used to the pain in the moment. This pain wasn't like that. This pain was continual, unrelenting guilt pain, like just fucking pure pain. Like, imagine the type of pain you will feel when you build up your entire business, you build up your dream, and you fucking love that shit, and then you start ruining it. You start taking it all down again. That is the worst fucking pain ever, because it's not like pain you can give an excuse for. It's not pain that you can just deal with. It's not the pain of progress, it's the pain of regret. The pain of progress, this is a quote I've got, the pain of progress always feels so much better than the pain of regret. And the pain of regret is just the worst fucking pain ever, bro. And I just went through that shit, and I remember just being like, and I'm on, my nice food here, I like eating my food, I'm just like, oh my god. And the fucking emotions are coming back to me now, bro. It was just the worst. I remember that was kind of the turning point of it all, my big fucking rut of the summer of 2024. And that was like, probably that was early June maybe. And so, school's still going on at this point, so it's not getting too bad, but I end up, bro, oh my god, man. Oh, fuck. Fuck, bro, this is actually fucking, I don't know, this is doing something weird to my fucking brain, man. Explaining this. Oh my god. Okay, so, fuck, I can't even fucking put this into words, man. This was like the worst. It's like almost like traumatizing pain in a way, bro. Fuck, I don't know why, I just can't say it. Fuck, bro, I'm not, shit, what the fuck is going on with my head here? Right. So school was still on, so I'd still have to wait up at like 7:30. But, I still wanted to play FIFA, so I'd get home from school every day, and I'd start playing FIFA, okay. And I'd plug the controller and start playing FIFA, and when my family would come home, my mum would come home, I'd get more like apprehensive. I'd like take one of the earphones out, or not even have them in at all. And if anyone like came up and they were like walking outside my room, like on the landing, because my room's like right next to the bathroom and right next to like where the stairs are and everything, then I just like kind of turn it off and go watch some YouTube for the next 10 minutes and wait for them to go. Bro, I would get like so tense. Like I would, when there were people outside my room, I'd get like so tense, and I'd get really pissed at them. I'm like, why are you spending like, 5 minutes talking to each other outside my room? Just go away, I want to go play FIFA. And man, I remember I'd be pissed off at myself. Okay, this is so interesting. I'd be so pissed off at myself that I was like sitting there waiting for people to go instead of playing because I wasn't making as much progress in career mode as I could. And like, oh man, I was just so addicted to making progress in FIFA career mode, man. And like what would happen is like, come like 10 p.m. when they all go to bed, that was like when I'd really get into it. Everyone's gone to bed, I can really get into it. I put the headphones back in, I get into it. And from like 10 p.m., 11 p.m., midnight, 1 p.m., 1 a.m., 2 a.m., I just keep playing, and some nights I continue playing till like 3 a.m., 4 a.m., bro. Man, and I remember some nights it was like I didn't even want to play, I just wanted to avoid it because I didn't want to stay up that late. But then it's like I'd start watching YouTube instead, and then it'd be like midnight, and I'd get really pissed at myself, and I'd be like, bro, what am I doing watching YouTube for the past 2 hours? I was supposed to be playing FIFA and making progress in career mode. It really like replaced my purpose in a way. It was so fucked. And I'd just be so pissed all the time. I'd just be so tense. And then the worst part was, man, and this is the worst pain I've ever felt, and this is the, I'm feeling it again now, and I'm feeling like I'm a fucking pussy, bro. And I'm feeling like I want to get all emotional and cry at it. Because I would have to, like, the latest I could wake up would be like 7:30 to like get ready for school and everything. So I'd obviously wake up at 7:30, but because I'd be going to bed at like 3 a.m., 4 a.m., I'd be so sleep deprived and I'd be so tired. I'm speaking like a fucking pussy now because all the fucking emotions are coming up for me, bro. And I wouldn't even have an alarm sometimes. I just rely on my mum waking me up, bro. And she would come into my room and she would try and wake me up, and I wouldn't get up. I would stay asleep because I just didn't want to get up. So then she would come back up at like 7:40, 7:50, and she would start shouting at me to get up, and she would pull my blanket off me. And if it was, I knew if it was like a Wednesday when my dad would still be at home at that time, because my dad would go to work early, but if my dad would still be home, I'd know that I have to get up on that Wednesday. I'd get up and I won't do it. But I knew if my dad wasn't home, I would like stay in bed for like another 20, 30 minutes until like 8 or some shit like that, bro. And my mum would come in and she'd like try and pull my duvet off me. She'd be shouting at me, she'd slam my door. And I just made her so angry because I wasn't getting up. Because I was so sleep deprived. And I was so pissed at her. It was so fucking annoying. I'd have to get up, and I'd never have a cold shower. I'd have a hot shower, and I'd like fall back asleep in the shower for like 10 minutes, bro. And then that's after my hot shower. That's when I knew, like, that's when the pain. I mean, the true pain was when I was fucking lying, because I sleep on the floor. When I was lying on the floor, my mum trying to get me up, slamming the door, shouting at me. Like that's the real pain there. But then I'd have my hot shower, fall back asleep, go back into comfort for a little bit, and then I would, it'd be time to fucking get dressed and eat my breakfast and shit. And then I just sort of have to get through that, bro. Oh my god, man. Oh, whoa. I feel like such a fucking pussy. Like, what was that noise I just made there, bro? But, man, that was true fucking pain there, bro. And that was the month of June. And the first half of July. That was like 6 weeks there. June and the first half of July. While school was still here. Oh, man, that was the worst ever. Bro, because... And then in school, like... That's when we started having our, like, mock exams, like, our fake exams. Because, like... Yeah, that's because we were in like year 10 then. That's when we having like our fake mock, like basically practice exams. Yeah, I remember we had these practice exams and everything. And yeah, I remember at that point my parents weren't like trying to get me to study. They were kind of encouraging it, but they weren't like forcing me to study. And in school, it's like, the teachers would like, be trying to prompt me to study. And so at this point, they all knew about my business and about my YouTube. So some of the nicer teachers would like let me just go on my phone because like they knew I got good grades anyway. So it's like they wasn't too bothered about me not paying attention. Because like for them, what matters for the teachers' like own personal interests is like the improvement in people's grades. But if I'm already at the best grade, then it's like they're chill with just letting me go on my phone and just like not bothering me. So I was grateful for some of the teachers being like that. Yeah, no, some of the teachers were actually really nice. Some of them really weren't though. Some of them knew about my channel and like disagreed with a lot of like the stuff I talked about, and so like I could tell they had like a, they weren't out to get me, but they disagreed with who I was, and so it's like, they would never ever let me go on my phone or anything like that. They were like, you've got to study and everything, which, to be fair, it's like I can't really disagree with them for doing that, because it's like they're a teacher that's supposed to make me study, it's not like I'm saying they're evil or anything, they're just doing their job. I got nothing against teachers, I know they're just, doing their job and whatnot. And I know the education system fucks over teachers just as much as it does students, but anyway. Yeah, it's like in school, it's like at that point, I was just kind of proud of who I was in a weird way because at that point, everybody thought I was still doing well with business. Nobody realized that my business had died and I was down to like a couple $100s a month at that point. Okay. Nobody realized that. Nobody realized that I was actually like losing money and like hemorrhaging money and like starting to actually lose money instead of gain money. Nobody really realized that or saw that. Everybody thought I was still doing well. And on the outside, I put on that image of like I'm still doing well, And it's, I still have the fucking thing in my hand because of my thumb, and so playing the video games. I could take it off to play video games. Like it was really interesting. I couldn't put any pressure through my thumb, but I could still like move it on a controller joystick. That was so interesting how I could fucking still use a controller joystick, but like I couldn't do like so many other things. That was such a fucking yeah. But that is also my weak hand, so I can still write with my left hand and everything. I'm left-handed. It's like doing these exams and shit. These, practice exams that don't matter much. They're just kind of like practice mock exams. But I remember like this girl that, I had a crush on that I said about who, then I asked her out and she broke up with me on self-improvement. It's like, I remember I started speaking to her again there. And so I started going to the gym there as well more consistently, which is really interesting because I couldn't do any of the machines. Bro, this is crazy. I'd full enough self-improvement. I mean, I was still relatively consistent on self-improvement, to be fair. I was still going out walking, hiking in the countryside. I was still like journaling. I was still meditating every now and then, which is really interesting, but I just play video games so much. And I would have run and gone on my bike and exercised if I could, but obviously I couldn't with my thumb. And so instead, what I'd do every day after school, I'd ride, if I was on my bike, because when I said I couldn't ride my bike, like I couldn't mountain bike, I could still just like ride it back and forth from school and shit. Actually, my parents stopped me from doing that because it was too dangerous. Because imagine I'm just riding one-handed basically on the road. It's like pretty dangerous. Obviously, you can't mountain bike with one hand. I mean, some people do it, but anyway. So I'd like ride my bike to the gym, or I'd just walk to the gym, and then I'd just work out legs. Like every single fucking day after school, I just work out legs. Because I couldn't do anything for upper body, bro. Because I didn't want to just only work out my left side. So yeah, I just fucking do legs, and then I'd go home and I'd go fucking play FIFA. Like, my brain was fucked at that point, bro, and yeah, I was just, like, pretending to everybody else at my school that I was doing good, and still, they'd make comments and shit like that, but, I didn't particularly care. I'd got used to it at that point, it wasn't a super relevant thing in my life, and I was actually kind of proud. It was weird, because I was, like, proud of my business success, despite not having success in business anymore. It was such an odd thing, and then, yeah, at that point, it was the end of the school year. The summer holidays started halfway through July, and interestingly enough, this is where I fell deeper into the rut, but the pain was less. I kind of got numb to it in a way because it's school was over, and so I could have any sleep schedule I wanted, and so my sleep schedule ended up being like waking up at 2, 3, 4, sometimes even 5 p.m. Bro, I'd be waking up and I'd be going to bed at like 7 a.m. Fucked up sleep schedule, just playing FIFA every waking hour. And when I feel really depressed, I'd fucking go out into the countryside. But the thing is, like, because I could get a solid 8 hours of sleep, 9 hours of sleep. Then it's like, I wasn't feeling as depressed. I had good sleep, and so I wasn't feeling as depressed about it. If that makes sense. And it's like the business had done shit, but I kind of come to terms with the business doing bad at that point. And it's like the school wasn't here anymore, so I wasn't around all the kids at school there anymore. So that wasn't really an issue. And so I was around my family, and I was still eating a pretty decent diet and everything. My money was running out. That's the thing. My money was running out because I was, spending like £200 a month on this diet, along with buying my school community and a Adonis school and all this other shit. And I wasn't really making any money. Like by August, I think I only had like one client left who then like cancelled or something like that. And it's like I wasn't really doing much on the YouTube. Every now and then I'd make a YouTube video being like, I've been in a rut, I'm returning now, and then I just wouldn't. And bro, my school community, like, because I had this like school community where it's like 20 of the closest guys of my community, and I had my clients in that community too, but all my clients had left at that point. But in this community, it was like 20 of the closest guys, and they were still pretty active. Like they were still talking with each other, continuing the community on. And I just wasn't there, and everybody knew that I was in a row. Everybody knew I was playing video games because I told them all. And every now and then, like every week or so, someone would reach out to me and be like, hey Sam, are you alright? You've been away, bro. Like, what's going on, man? They'd be trying to help me. And I would just ignore them. I would leave them on red and be like, yeah, bro, I've been in a bit of a rut or some shit like that, underplaying it, avoiding the pain of it. And I remember I had these community calls in my community, like every week on like Saturday or Sunday or something like that. And I just stopped turning up to them, bro. And like all the calls, I just like no-show people and just ignore them, bro. man, I just fucking ignore the entire thing, and I just stay away from it. And like I had all my stuff bookmarked at the top, and I just disabled my bookmarks back, so I couldn't, because I had my school and my YouTube and everything, you know, my communities and shit bookmarked at the top. I just removed, hid the bookmarks bar, so I wouldn't have to see it anymore. On my YouTube channel, like I changed accounts so that I wouldn't see my channel profile picture in the top right anymore. I just didn't go on school, the website. I just didn't, I just stayed away from all of it. I just forgot about it. And it's like every night after I've been playing FIFA, I'd get that like desperation where it's like 4, 5, 6 a.m., sometimes even 7 a.m. And I'd be like, what the fuck have I just done for the past night, basically? And it'd be like, bro, I need to go to sleep now. And it's 7 a.m. And I'd get that desperation. And at that point, I'd go back to it and I'd message everyone. I'd be like, hey, bro, I've been in a rut. I need to get out of this rut. Like my friend Vincent, I'd be like, I'm in a rut, bro. I need help getting out. And then I'd just ghost everyone for the next 3 days, And it was fucked, bro. And it was like there was this version of Sam controlling me, this evil version of myself controlling me. And I would be asleep, like my current version of myself, like the part of myself that wants to improve. Like, you got the angel and the devil on your shoulders. It's like the angel would just be fucking asleep and the devil will be controlling me. The devil part of my brain will be controlling me. And then, yeah, it's like that would be controlling me. And then every now and then when the pain was too much, the angel part would wake up and I'd be like, bro, what am I doing with my life? I'm fucking ruining my business. Like, I'm fucking destroying everything. And I'd feel that horrible pain. And then I'd physically go to sleep and I'd wake up with the devil controlling me again. And then I lost my entire business like that, bro. But then what started to happen was in September. So for all August and the last half of July, that was the summer holidays where it's like I was kind of numb to the pain. But school starts is end of August, and I realized like, bro, like school's starting up again. I cannot go back to school if I'm in this rut. Like that was too much pain before, and I'm gonna like this numbness I've got to it is gonna go once I go back to school now. So I need to get out. And so I think that kind of prompted me to like push a bit further. And yeah, I kind of come September. Yeah, that was it. Like, and it's like last week of August, start of September. School started up again, and school actually started pushing me. I remember journaling in my journal, being like, I'm actually grateful for school starting up again because it gave me a reason to like lock in a bit more. And this is the start of year 11. This was, so I was like 15. No, was I 16 at this point? No, I was 15. Shit, was I? Yeah, no, I was 15 at this point. And so it's come like September, I start a business again. And I decided that I'm just gonna like do school outreach, like messaging people on school, trying to sell them my coaching. And this one random guy just decides to pay me $500, which is pretty sick. And at that point I was broke, and so I was like, fucking hell, bro, like $500, biggest sale I've ever got. Like he basically was like, I'm gonna buy your coaching. How much are you gonna charge me? And I was like, $500. I just said it just because I felt like $500, and he was like, sure, let's do it. And I was like, bro, this money is like enough to keep me going for like the next 2 months. It was kind of like a get out of jail card for me being broke. And so I started shit up again, and I started, working on business again and whatnot. But then, I didn't get any more sales like October. I can't even remember what happened in October, bro. Like October of 2025. No, October of 2024. What did I do then? Like, I don't even know, bro. I can't even remember, man. It was probably just some shitty month again where I was kind of half locked in on business, not really working on it. I mean, at that point, I remember the video games didn't completely go. Yeah, come October, I was still playing them every now and then. They're mostly gone, but I was still playing them every now and then. But I think I was just being more on self-improvement, sort of getting back to it in October. But then come November 2024, okay? This is when shit's really started to change, because come November 2024, I was in a donor school at this point, and there was this guy, Stan Morrish. He's actually one of my clients recently. He starts making this like day in the life series where he's like documenting his journey to the UFC, and he's starting martial arts. He's starting jiu-jitsu and shit, I think. And so he's just gonna like vlog. He just vlogs his day every single day and uploads it on YouTube. And it's like day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and I think he's like 30 days in at this point, and he's doing really well. He's got like 1,000 subs at this point. One of the videos blew up, and he's getting consistent views. And I'm like, bro, that's awesome. I always love like vlogging my life. I'm gonna start doing videos like this too. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do like day in the life of a teenage entrepreneur. Okay, and that's what I was planning on doing. And so I start recording. And my good friend Vincent as well, who I've been friends with for like years. Online, like he's from Florida, And he's like, he's gonna start it too. So I'm like, you know what? I might as well start doing this daily day in the life series as well. And so I start doing it, and I start recording like everything I do with my GoPro, because the GoPro is like fucking really good at endurance, like just recording everything. And so I do that, and then like every single day, like I record it, and then in the evening I edit the video that I've recorded, like vlogging my day. And I start uploading like daily vlogs, and they're very edited. They've got lots of music and lots of effects, and like they're doing well. And these videos are doing well. Like one gets 1,000 views, another gets like 900 views, and I'm getting daily high views, and it's going great, bro. But the thing is, it's a ton of work. And this is the thing, I fully look in on making these videos, and I'm grinding, okay? And the thing is, like, I think after like day 3 or day 4, school starts back up again, because it was like, when I started the videos, it was like half term, so it was like basically a week off school we got. And it was like halfway, like 3 days in, it's like we got school started up again. And so all of a sudden, it was like, I had way less time now to make these videos. And so I ended up staying up till like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. to edit these vlogs and these videos, and so I started getting more sleep deprived. And I basically managed to hold out for like a week, basically vlogging my whole life and editing it. And it was a fuck ton of work doing this shit, bro, okay? But I fucking loved it, bro. You know, especially the editing part, like basically like vlogging my life, like making my life into like an entertaining video. I really fucking loved it, bro. And I realized like doing it daily wasn't sustainable. And so I decided that I was just gonna like do it every now and then, like maybe once a week I'd do a vlog, okay? And instead of doing like day 1, day 2, day 3, it'd be like day 1, then day 7, then day 14, and I realized I'll like switch to that format. And so then I get on this like coaching call with Hamza, because Hamza was like coaching me one-on-one for free at this point. By the way, at this point, like, Hamza gave me and like loads of other guys at Adonis School for completely free. And so I didn't have that expense anymore. Like, I didn't have to like pay for my, no, I was still paying for my school community at this point, I think. Yeah, no, I didn't even have a school community at that point, I don't think. But yeah, and so I start making this like bigger like film type video, where it was like, you know, going all in on filmmaking, because that was the thing. I kind of realized, like, you know, I want to do filmmaking, like filmmaking my life, you know, cine vlogging my life. And so I get in this one-on-one coaching with Hamza, and tell him like, you know, I wanna you know, kind of vlog my life filmmaking. He tells me like, Sam, you know, you should just go all in on the filmmaking. Like, if that's what you enjoy, you should just go all in on that. And you know, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna fucking do that, bro. And so November, or like start of December, I go all in on filmmaking. My main channel got like restricted for like, I'm gonna say these 2 letters, and if you know what it means, you know what it means, and I'm not gonna go any farther than this because YouTube will restrict this video. But basically, my channel partially got restricted for YouTube thinking there was CP in one of my videos, which is fucking wild, bro. Okay, there was nothing like that. It was basically a scene of me shirtless, like waking up, and it's like, oh, this is child engagement, this is CP. Okay. The thing was, only one of the videos got took down, whereas the other 7 videos of the vlog, were, the exact same scene was completely fine, which is crazy. So my channel got like a strike and everything. And so I was like, bro, I've got to start a new channel. So I started a new channel doing these filmmaking videos. I fucking love it, bro. Like, one video is that I made like where it's like just a day in the life, and that was awesome, editing that. Another video, I went out like hiking for like a day, and I did this big ass hike, and I told my entire life story in that hike, and that was a nice video. These videos are back on my channel, by the way. And yeah, man, I really fucking love doing that work. And, you know, I was back at school, and that was basically through like November, December, January. I was doing like, you know, filmmaking. And I bought a camera, like my camera. Oh shit, I'm recording with it. I went fucking looking for my camera. I've got another camera here. This is like my granddad's old camera. Not as good, but yeah, I bought my camera, a Canon EOS M5 for like £350 second hand or some shit like that, bro. You know, and I buy the equipment I need, so I've got a camera, and I do some more filmmaking and make, you know, some short films, and I'm fucking loving this shit, bro. And that continues through, you know, December, January, February, and start of March as well. And, you know, when I'm in school, like, people actually start to take the piss out of me for like doing filmmaking. And it actually starts to hit me, because before business is like, well, everyone wants to make money. There was this one kid who was like one of the more like popular kids. It was almost like the class clown, but he was like, you know, popular in that sense. He would always just fucking ask me for money, bro. And I never gave him any money. But he would always ask me for money and be like, oh, bro, yeah, you're doing so good, man. Can you give me some money? You know, so it's sort of like, they made fun of me for doing business, but it was also kind of somewhat respectable, and because they all like wanted to live that. Whereas when I'm doing filmmaking, and by the way, when I was doing filmmaking, I was shitting on the online business space, being like, bro, people doing online business are so sleazy, so scammy. They would now like really take the piss out of me for that, and that actually kind of hit me. They were like, oh, here's Sam, you know, filmmaking changed my life, and like I'd be like, yeah, what, bro? I'm doing filmmaking. And I sound so like so insecure saying that to them, you know, like I'm doing filmmaking and everything. Um, but yeah, and I sort of did that, and that really opened my eyes up a lot more. I had like a lot of deeper realizations there, and you know, that really pulled me out the rut because then I was like working a lot harder on the filmmaking and whatnot. And it was still like, you know, at that point I'd wake up at like 4:30 a.m., ice bath, you know, get to editing. And it's like my mum, she would like, you know, basically cook my sausages and cook my eggs for me and sort of have my breakfast while still working. And then I'd go to school, bro. It's like I'd put on my school clothes, my shoes, which I just showed you there, my blazer. You know, I'm gonna fucking, should you do that? Should you put the fucking blazer back on, bro, and put the tie back on? Bro. The smell of this shit is so nostalgic, man. That's crazy, bro. Oh my god. I have the shirt on, so like, this won't feel the same, but like, bro, I fucking put it on, and I put this hoodie is pretty thick, so it's like tighter than it would be. I think I've also got bigger since wearing it, but yeah. So should we put the fucking shirt on? Let's put the fucking school shirt on, you know. Let's go all the way. Yeah, I'd fucking put all this shit on, get ready for school, man. And I remember, yeah, it was like January, February, March. Yeah, those months where I was like filmmaking and everything, bro. And that was the thing, it's like the end of school, like the end of year 11, which is the last year of secondary school, I knew was like, it was like July, like mid-July. Mid-July, I knew it was gonna end. Oh no, was it June? No, it was mid-June it was gonna end, which is a month earlier than the other years. I knew I was gonna have my final exams that summer, you know, or like May, June, and then it was like June 16th, I think it was. I knew that was the very last day of school, okay? And I knew, you know, then the summer holidays would start, and then after that, maybe I'd have to go to some sixth form or some other shit like that, some other college, basically. Like in the UK, it's like you have your secondary school, like your high school, which ends in year 11, which is like when you're 16. And then for the last 2 years, when you're 17 and 18, you then go to like sixth form, or sixth form is like just another 2 years of school, basically, or like college, or like an apprenticeship where you like work a job while going to college or some shit like that. So I knew that was probably gonna have to happen. And I knew these exams were coming up and everything. I knew it was sort of like becoming the end of school in a way, to a degree. And it's like I started to kind of think like, hang on, like, you know, I hate school so much. Is it possible for me to potentially, you know, not do those next 2 years and like sort of drop out after the end of year 11? That's what I started to think, bro. The microphone. I left the microphone across the room. Sorry if that was some pretty bad audio there. Let's where can we put the mic? Can we put it on the tie? There we go. I guess that's. I don't want to feel like rubber or anything. Ah, fuck, I'll just hold it. I guess this is good enough. So, yeah, so I knew the end of school was coming up and everything. And it's I wasn't really making money with the filmmaking. Like, I got some people make donations to me or some shit, but I just wasn't making money. Like, I got like £20 a month from my dad, and that was just it. I just had no money, at all. I had some money saved up from Christmas, but other than that, I didn't have like any money. And it's like I wanted to invest in like epidemic sound music for my videos and all this shit, but like, you know, I didn't have the money for it at all. And I was enjoying the filmmaking. It really opened up my eyes. And then I remember it was like, you know, and at this point it was like I was locked in as well. I was like properly locked in. And I felt like I was on more of a mission with my filmmaking and everything. And it's like I wanted to drop out. I wanted to somehow make money with the filmmaking. And so I got another like one-on-one call with Hamza. When was it? It would have been like start of March, like mid-March probably. And I tell him about this. It's like, yeah, you know, I'm enjoying the filmmaking and everything, and I like this. But it's like I want to teach people purpose, because that's the other thing. I started to look at some more like school communities about like following our dreams and like purpose and all this shit. Like the guide to purpose and shit like this. So I wanted to I felt like I discovered my purpose with filmmaking, and I wanted to teach other young men that. And so, yeah, basically what happens is I hop on this call with Hamza, and I'm like, yeah, I want to teach people purpose, and I want to make money. That's why I'm doing filmmaking. He's like, bro, just come back to business, bro. Just come back to doing business. And so I come back. So he's basically told me, like, you know, go do filmmaking. And then I've got another call with him, and he's like, you know, stop doing filmmaking. But I think it was a necessary side quest I needed to go on. And so, yeah, is I basically made this video. It's like never quit entrepreneurship, and I'm like, yeah, bro, it's, you know, I've been doing filmmaking, but I need to make money again. You know, I was a bit of a pussy, and so I come back to business, and I follow like Hamza's ECC course, and I start selling like $150 course again. And I start making YouTube videos on it, and then, bro, this is such a fucking awesome time, man. Like, this was a sick time. And this was like March. So this was exactly a year after I had my first business blow up, okay? So that first business blow up, okay, where, you know, I went from like $300 a month to like 2K per month when I was 14. This was like exactly a year after it. And I was like, bro, I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to get back to 2K per month. And guess fucking what? I did the exact same thing at the exact same time. End of March, start of April, going from like, I mean, it was literally zero at that point, zero to like 2K per month that I did. And, you know, this is at the same time of year where it's starting to get lighter again. And I'm in school at this time, and I see, you know, the school year is starting to come to a close. It's getting later. It's like March. It's like April. And I'm selling this like $150 course. And at this time, it's really stupid. I'm selling a course on how to do YouTube and how to get a bigger channel. I mean, I was getting like 500 views per video, to be fair, and like I was like fucking 10 minutes average watch time. And I was selling this like $150 course with a $500 upsell. I remember it was April 17th. It was my birthday, the day I turned 16, and I recorded a vlog that day as well. I was still sort of doing the filmmaking a little bit. And Mr. Victor Floden, shout out to Victor, bro. He's still one of my current clients at the moment. I love you, Victor. He joined my course like for $150, and then also bought my coaching for like $500 on April 17th. And that April 17th, I made like $800 or $650 or something that day, bro. And that's the most I ever made on a singular day on my 16th birthday, which is fucking awesome, man. And you know, that was good. I had like 2K in my bank account. I'd made like 2K, and it was just sick, bro. You know, I've been doing YouTube, and it was awesome. I was getting consistent sales, and bro, I remember like being in my biology class, you know, in school, having to still study and everything, and you know, doing the thing where I had my phone under my desk, and I checked the email, and this guy just fucking bought my course for $150 in my biology class, okay? And where I'm sitting in the class is like, it's almost like the class seating plan is weird. I'm at the front of everyone, but I'm at like an angle where everybody can see my face, if that makes sense. And I check my phone, and everyone obviously knows I'm on my phone. The teacher knows I'm on my phone. Everyone knows about my business. They don't really give a fuck. And so I'm on my phone, and I see I've got a sale, and I just start smiling, bro. I'm on my phone, I just start smiling. And the thing is, like, I'm at a point where everybody can see me, because I'm at kind of like the front of the class. On like the fucking like science pods and shit. I don't know if you've been in the UK. We've got like science pods where it's like, because there's too many kids in the class and there's not enough seats. You got to like fucking have this stool next to the fucking like scientific pods. So you got the fucking gas Bunsen burners and shit, kind of at the front of the class. And so like everyone can like see me, and I just start smiling, bro. Like I've got to say, I don't just give a fuck because I've got a sale. I don't give a fuck that, you know, it's like weird to just start smiling. Because I'm happy that I've got a sale, and like what I would do there is like, every morning I'd wake up at like 5 a.m., script the video, and then at like 6:30, which is like the earliest I could start recording, because like I've got a relatively deep voice, and obviously the deeper your voice is, the easier it penetrates through walls and shit. And so 6:30 was like when my whole family would be awake, and so that's when I'd start recording, so as not to wake them up. Because I bet you like right now my entire family can hear. They probably can't hear what I'm saying, but they can hear I'm speaking. They always say they can hear me no matter what when I'm on calls and shit. And so yeah, 6:30 I would start recording, and then I'd have until like 8 to finish my recording. And I'd be uploading like 1 to 2 videos a week, like long ass videos, and I'd be fucking grinding on the shit, and I make so many extra resources for these videos, and you know, they'd be really fucking good videos, and I was uploading consistently, and I was making, you know, money from my course, and it was hard work, but I liked the work, and school was coming to an end, it was getting lighter, and it was almost like a repeat of what had happened the year before. You know, the year before I hit 2K per month when I was 14, and everything was awesome like that. It was kind of like a repeat of there, but this time I'd learnt my lesson, and this time I didn't get complacent, and this time I wanted to go further. Okay, this time I wanted to go further. This time is like, I wanted to kind of like, I had this like weird vision in me where I wanted to teach purpose, okay? I had this weird vision where I wanted to make money for myself, and I wanted to teach purpose, and I was, you know, still going to school at this point, but in school, it was like, I would just, like I said, I'd just go on my phones and like my phone, and like, you know, the teachers wouldn't just, they wouldn't care that I was on my phone at all. And I really felt like I was on a mission, and like these final end of year exams, the GCSEs, they were coming up closer. It's like, we had like mocks, like fake practice exams right before the end of year exams, I think we did. And so, like, for these mocks, my parents tried to get me to start studying and everything, because, you know, back in, like, November, I was studying some there and everything, because my parents, like, you know, they threatened to take away my computer and my business if I didn't do it. And at this point, they were still trying to, like, tell me to study and everything like that. But, like, I did some a little bit. But, like, I just did the bare minimum, bro. And I, like, even if this is the thing, even if I wanted to, I just couldn't, okay? Or, like, for example, like, my parents, they wanted me to, like, start getting to school on time. Because at this point, I started, like, what had happened, I'd wake up, ice bath, get to work, And then like school started at 8:40, but I'd oftentimes like leave on my bike at like 8:35 or some shit like that. And the school is like roughly like a 5-10 minute ride away, depending on the wind and the traffic. Because obviously I ride my bike. And it's like mostly downhill the whole way, so I can like fucking bomb it at like 25-30 miles an hour for a good part of it. This is a side point, bro. But when you're on a fucking bike and you're going at the speed limit, cars will still try to overtake you because you're a bike. Even though I'm going at the fucking speed limit. And that was like riding my bike to school. That was so fucking. There's so many things I can speak about, bro. Like when I was riding my bike to school, it was so fucking dodgy. I want to go into that more, like how I was just fucking crossing my fingers that I wouldn't get hit by a car before I finished school. But anyway, it was like, yeah, my parents were like, yeah, Samuel, you got to study, because they call me Samuel. Yeah, Samuel, you got to study. You got to get to school on time. And my dad was threatening to take away my computer and all this shit. And like, I tried to force myself to do it, but I just couldn't do it because I just love my work too much, if that makes sense. I love doing my work too much. I love grinding too much in the mornings too much. And so I would just get to school late. And like when they tried to get me to study, I would just like, oh yeah, pick up the paper. And then I get distracted by some of my business work and I go back to doing that and I forget about fucking doing the paper studying. And like, I think my parents kind of realized this, and I started to have conversations with my dad about this. And I remember like one time we were sitting in our living room, and I just told him with full and utter honesty, like, look, I hate school. Like, I don't have any friends there. Because the other thing, like, when I was in my big rut, that friend, Jacob, he, like, sort of fell off self-improvement and went back to, like, talking with all the other kids and everything. Because, like, we started, like, playing football with him at break times, and then he sort of, like, started, becoming friends with them a bit more. And he's got his reasons for that I don't blame him for doing, which I'm not going to go into. That's quite personal for him. But, like, yeah, I kind of lost him. He went back to sort of, like, being normal, if that makes sense. And so I didn't have him anymore. I still played football with them every break time, to be fair, near the end of school here. And I love playing football with them as well. That was fun. Like it was so interesting because like we just wouldn't speak at like me and the other boys at school. We just wouldn't speak at any point. But then I'd go fucking play football with them. And this was coming like April, like when my business started to do a bit better. Like during the rut period or the filmmaking period, like I wouldn't go anywhere near them. But then my business was doing better. I was a bit more ballsy, and I was like, I joined in playing football with them, and that was pretty fucking fun. And like they're still calling me names and shit, but I just go along with it. I won't give them shit. And this is the side point, but sometimes like one of them would like try and fucking get rough with me or some shit like that, or they try and like push me around or some shit like that. And at that point, I was like, I think I was like quite confident in what I was doing, and so I wouldn't let them have anything. Like if anyone like fucking like tried to get rough with me or anything, I'd go back at them. And the thing, I'm just going off topic here, but another really interesting thing. For some reason, everybody thought I was strong and everybody thought I was good at fighting. Like, I don't know what it was. I mean, I would act aggressive. Like whenever someone like, got aggressive with me and like, played rough with me when we were playing football or some shit, I would go rough back at them. And so I always played centre back, and like I think playing centre back, I'm pretty good at being strong and pretty good at being rough. Like I'm not techie at all. I can't pass for shit. I can't shoot for shit. But when it comes to fucking being rough and like getting in there, that's the only thing I think I can do in football, bro. And so if anyone like started getting rough with me or shit like that, I'd go back at them if that makes sense. I wouldn't let them have it. And so for some reason, everybody thought I was good at fighting. I've been in like fucking like maybe I don't know like 3 or 4 fights in my entire life, bro. I'm not good at fighting. I've trained taekwondo, which ain't even a martial arts, a sport, really. I'm not good at fighting. Everyone fucking thought I was, bro. Everyone thought I was really strong. I wasn't. I'm not like particularly strong. I'm probably weaker than the average 17-year-old now or 16-year-old, because it's like I run way too much and I don't lift weights at all, really. But that's the side point. And so, like, whenever someone would have a go at me, it's like I would sort of give them shit back, if that makes sense. And I think I got into the habit of that, and I got good at that, and I actually quite enjoyed doing that. Like, I remember one time this kid, it was the same kid that was always asking me for money. For some reason, when we were playing football, because I was in centre back, he was striker. So someone played a long ball over, and I was like gonna like basically run forward to try and like jump up and get my head on this long ball to like fucking clear it away. And he was like basically betting on the fact that I wouldn't get to it, and so he started running towards the goal the other way. But as we were like passing each other running, he basically puts his elbow up and fucking like elbows me around the eye. And like this is like, imagine I'm sprinting one way, he's sprinting the other way, that hits me. I fucking like fall back to the ground like that, bro. And I like fucking get on the ground, and then I don't know how long, I probably wasn't on the ground for that long. But then I get back up, bro. Okay, and I fucking run straight to this guy. And I don't know fucking why I did this, but he was running. I fucking like grab one of his legs, okay, like this. And I fucking just like pick him up. And like, he grabs onto my neck and we fucking go down on the floor together. But then I managed to like fucking get my elbow in like his face or his chest or something. So as I land on my elbow, which is like pressed into his neck or his like chest or something shit, I goes into it and he's just like, you know, he kind of fucking gets weak and fucks up at that point. You know, that was pretty fun for me though. You know, it felt quite ballsy, but that's a, you know, side story, side point there. Or it's like we'd always play with the sixth formers, like the kids who were a year older than us, and that would get pretty rough to the point where like the teachers would have to like stop us from playing together. But you know, that was like fucking break time football. That was fucking fun as fuck, man. That was really fun. And I remember I started playing like striker and shit near the end of it and everything. I actually got somewhat decent at attacking and dribbling and whatnot. Which is surprising because I've always played centre back. Never been techie at all. But anyway, yeah, and that was all right. But then, you know, when we couldn't play or like the fucking, you know, AstroTurf was locked. So we played an AstroTurf. When the AstroTurf was locked, you know, it's like I like just fucking go in the library and I just like, you know, do work on my phone there or read there and shit like that. Or I just like fucking, you know, walk around my earbuds and just listening to whatever the fuck. You know, it's like the teachers would make us study, and at this point, it's like they would let us study on our phones, which is great for me because I could just do whatever the fuck I wanted on my phone. And then, yeah, like, my parents wanted me to study, but then eventually it got to a point when they realized, like, I ain't gonna be doing shit. And at this point, you know, this is, like, looking at, like, May, June, I started having conversation, not June, but, yeah, like, May. Started having conversations with my dad about me dropping out and everything, and, you know, at first he was apprehensive. Like, I basically made it really abundantly honest to him, and I told him so many times, like, I hate school, like, I don't have any friends there, I don't speak to anyone there, you know, I don't care about the work. And the thing is, like, I watch videos on, like, in my spare time now, like, when I watch YouTube and shit, I'll watch videos on fucking quantum physics, on, like, random biological shit, and, like, all this stuff, like, basically the stuff we were learning in school. I will watch videos about that, but I fucking hate studying that shit in school, and it's not because it's a topic, it's just because of school itself, if that makes sense. Or, like, French, for example, in my French classes, I mean, that was kind of a side point, but it's like, je parle un peu de français, and it's like, I've barely practiced recently, so I'm pretty shit at the moment. Mon prononciation, c'est le pire en ce moment, mais in the past, it's like that client I've got who was from France, I practiced my French a ton with him, and so I got somewhat decent at French, and so in my French class, it's like I wouldn't give a fuck about any of that, bro. But then outside of school, I practiced my French, and it's like I just fucking hated school, and I made that so clear to my dad. And it's like at points he was like, yeah, you know, we'll sort it out. Like, we'll probably do some homeschool thing. And then the next day he'd be like, no, you're going, you know, we're gonna get you into some sixth form or some shit like that. But I kind of knew at that point that, like, you know, I was gonna drop out regardless. Like, regardless of what my parents tried to get me to do, I was just gonna fucking drop out. You know, I wasn't gonna care. And it's like, even though they had control of it, I had my little plan, which I'm gonna go over my little plan for how I was gonna drop out in a second. Even though my parents were basically the decision makers. Because obviously I was only 16, like, I didn't have control. But anyway, and at the same time, regarding my business, I stopped selling the courses and I started up a free community at that point, the $1,000 Protocol, which is currently my current free school. There's a link in the description for that if you're interested in that. Even I haven't really talked about what I do for business anymore at all. But yeah, there's a free school in the description if you watch this far, if you want to join that, bro. Where I basically just teach you, I mean, I'm not even going to go into that. So I started at this free school and I started doing like the whole school networking and getting into this because I kind of realized at that point like that I stopped getting course sales and everything. And I was like, you know, I need a new way to do business. And so I'll start doing this, you know, $1,000 Protocol, school networking. And in May, I like made like basically nothing, I don't think. Yeah, May business was just like dead. Like, I was putting the work in, but it was kind of dead because I was starting up a new business model. And I was talking with my dad and basically being like, yeah, like, you know, I don't want to go to school. And I had this plan. This is what I was saying about the plan. I had this plan where it was like, UK school system is so fucking weird, bro. Basically, like, the way you get into like a sixth form that you want to go to. So, okay, let me give you more context. So, my parents are planning on me going to this other sixth form. So where I live, there's this school like really near to me, and it's this pretty big school, and it's a school where all my friends in primary school went to. Basically, I wasn't really in contact with them, but I was basically planning on going to this school for like sixth form because it was like a bit better than the school I was currently in. But the thing is, like, and where that school is kind of like in between my house. That school is like in between my house and the school I was going to, if that makes sense. So this new school was like in between my current school and the house. And UK school, and that's relevant, okay? Because UK school is fucking weird, bro. Like, what you are supposed to do, like, you do your GCSE exams, and then like a month later, when you get your results, you go to your current school, you pick up your results there in like a physical envelope. You then go to the new school you want to go to, and you like fucking go there, and you gotta like hand in your results on results day. It's such a weird fucking system you gotta do, bro. And my big plan was basically that I was gonna go to my current school, okay, and I was gonna pick up my results in the envelope. But then the thing is, on the way to like the new school, the fastest way, or the fastest way is actually to go through some woods, and I'll be riding my bike, okay. And so and there's some pretty big woods. And so what I was planning on doing basically is picking up the results and turning off the location tracking on my phone, and then going into these woods and just hiding in these woods for the rest of the day. So that by the time it's like the end of the day, this school would close, and then the chances of basically me getting in would be much lower. And then at that point, the only place I'd be able to go is like to some fucking shitty community college where like they let everyone in. And because I'm like, grade A student, my parents would probably at that point just let me be homeschooled. Because at this point, it was like they were kind of half sure about me dropping out. And so I was like, if they say no to me dropping out, then I'm just going to pull off this plan and kind of like, make it, I either drop out or go to this community college. And I know they would never ever make me go to a fucking like community college or some shit like that. So that was my big plan. And interestingly enough, it never had to happen because I applied, because you have to like apply before you go to the school. I applied on their website to go to it. And then they just fucked my application. They just like completely forgot about me. They were like, oh yeah, we got you on our system, but the application's empty. Sorry, we can't let you in. And so at that point, I didn't even have to pull off my plan. That school wouldn't let me in anyway. And so it's kind of like I had to go to the community college or it was dropping out. And at that point, my parents were kind of like, yeah, okay, you can drop out. And so that was sort of the plan. And then all I had left was like the rest of May and the rest of June on exam leave. Exam leave is where you have to go into school for your exams, but then for the time around those exams, you don't have to go to school. And so me dropping out wasn't like a clear physical point, like I'm in school and then school's no longer there. It's more like gradual, like I'm going to school and then instead of doing 6 hours a day, it's maybe average 5 hours a day, and then it's maybe average 4 hours a day. And then one day I'm not in school at all, and then the next day, I'm only in school for a half day, because depending on where the exams are. And then near the end, it was like, I had like 3-4 hours of exams in a week, and so that continued through the end of May and June, and that was the process of me dropping out. And bro, during these exams, man, I was like fully locked in on business, on my new business, man, and I would wake up at like 9 a.m. usually, unless I had some exams, I'd have to wake up earlier, and I would just get to work basically, and I was just fully fucking locked in, bro. And it's getting lighter. This is like May, June. There's more sun. I'm healthier. It's nice, And I couldn't, obviously at this point, I wasn't making enough money to afford the best diet. And so my parents are paying for like my carnivore diet, but it was like basically as cheap as you could make a carnivore diet. It was like minced meat and eggs, and that was and some cheap fruit, and that was basically it. But yeah. And so at this point, I was just sort of working, and then when it was time for exams, like, by the way, at this point, I wasn't studying at all, and my parents were fine with me not studying at all, because they kind of realized that, like, I was going to get good grades regardless, and so I was going to get, like, I wasn't going to get grades as good as I possibly could, but I was going to get really good grades regardless, and so they were fine with me not studying at this point. But then in terms of, like, going to the exams, I was late to a couple of the exams, like, most of them I wasn't, but there was a few that I was late, because I was too busy working on my business. But I remember one, I just, like, walked in 10 minutes late, and like I didn't even know what exam it was, and I sat down and I was like, oh, okay, it's like English literature. All right, let's do it. And then in English literature, I got like an 8 or something like that, in 8 out of 9, which is like equivalent to like an A star or some shit like that, and I hadn't studied. And that's not me trying to flex. It's just like, I think I'm just gifted at being able to learn, which I'm very, very, very grateful for, that ability. Yeah, I was late to some of the exams and shit like that, and then I was going through that period, and it was feeling really fucking good because I was getting way more time off school, and it didn't feel like the summer holidays. Like the summer holidays where you're off school, it didn't feel like that, because now it's like I'm off school, but I'm home alone, and so it's so much easier to focus, because you don't have to think about my family fucking coming into my room and disturbing me. I'm home alone, it's quiet. I've got no disturbance like that. And so, yeah, life really started to get a lot better then. More free, I was more happy. And the really interesting thing is, like, my mind started to, like, open up a lot more. It really, really did start to open up a lot more, in that I started getting more visions for the future, in, like, what I wanted to achieve. This is the point where le rêve became a thing. Le rêve means the dream in French, and I don't know how this became a thing for me, but I think it was around, like, March, April, May, sometime around there. Le rêve became a real thing. Le rêve basically is just the dream. It's like my vision for the future in a way. And my vision for the future became way more clear. Like previously, it was like, yeah, I want to make money, I want to travel, and I want to do this stuff. And it's just kind of a vague concept. When I started like getting more time away from school, this vision became so fucking clear, bro. It was ridiculous. And it became this like a really fucking like clear, fucking hurt my nose. I don't know what the fuck I've just done there. It became this like really fucking clear vision of the life I wanted to live. Like ridiculously clear. It's like I made vision boards, bro. What? I think I've like fucking like ripped my nose or some shit like that, man. That's killing. And it just became this like really fucking like le rêve. It's just a fucking like c'est pour le rêve. It's for it's just for the dream. It's like it just became like a thing in my mind. It became like parts of my brain. This vision of the future. It became so much more clear. And I remember my final day of school, it was June the 16th, my final physics exam. I got a 9 in physics, I believe, as well. Or no, was it an 8 or a 9? I can't remember. It was one of them. I've always been good at physics, though. I think it might have been a 9, actually, because, yeah, it would have had to have been. But, yeah, and I had my physics exam. And then, yeah, that was basically it. I remember riding my bike home from school, bro. And it was, like, the most awesome feeling ever. And this feeling, it's so hard to describe, but there's one sentence which describes this feeling perfectly. And that sentence is, the world is my oyster. That is how I felt. I journaled that sentence so many times, and that is exactly how I felt. It felt like I'd almost like loaded into a new video game. Okay. And it was like fun from now onwards. And it was like, now I'm still going to be doing work and I'm still going to be on this journey, but it's going to be fun. Okay. And that's basically how I felt. And it was such a fucking awesome feeling. It felt like the start of the summer holidays, but almost like an eternal summer holiday, And when you're a little kid and it's the start of the summer holidays, and you've got these, your family holidays planned. That is that feeling, but just like fucking tenfold, bro. It's fucking awesome, man. Feeling the warm sun riding home with like this fucking shirt on with all the signage. I mean, it's on the back. You can't, shit being signed like that. Riding home with the shirt on my bike. I actually like recording myself with the GoPro because I felt like such an iconic moment for me. And getting home, and I got home at like midday because the exam was in the morning, and putting my bike away. My mum was home because it was a Friday, and I just got back to work, man. And I was like properly like, bro, this is the start. The world is my fucking oyster, bro. And it was such a fucking awesome feeling. It really felt like what I went through before was almost just like the hard work it took to make the money to be able to buy the video game. It now felt like I was now playing the video game. And bro, after dropping out, I had huge fucking visions, bro. I realized I had my big vision that I want to reform the UK education system. I kind of realized that and I saw that. And that was fucking awesome, man. Like every morning I'd be waking up at like 9 a.m. which was like, that felt in time with like my proper sleep schedule. Like that, midnight to 9 a.m. feels like the proper good sleep schedule for me. And I could finally live that instead of having to wake up at 7 a.m. And I'd wake up at 9 a.m. and my family had already left then. So it's like I was home alone. And so I was able to focus way better. And I'd have my coffee. And I had this like really nice organic coffee at this point. And I had like my fruit. I was eating a load of fruit in the morning. And I'd just get my journal up, bro. And I would just start journaling. And that's kind of when I had these realizations, when I had these visions of life. And I realized like, shit, bro, like I'm going to teach purpose. What I was saying about I want to teach purpose. I realized that I don't just want to teach purpose to like young men. I want to fucking reform the education system. I want to, the lessons I've learned from self-improvement and all these things is like, I want to teach this to the masses. I really want to change the world with this. All this fucking degeneracy going on. I want to be able to get rid of that. I want to be able to really fucking teach. And I want to, because I suffered so much in the education system. I realized like I want to reform it. And yeah, I had that big ass vision, bro. And then from there, it was just onwards and upwards. And obviously my journey continued significantly onwards from there. It was literally like 3 days after I dropped out. It was like going to Greece with my family, which was a family holiday, like going to this resort in Greece. But that was sick because that was like the second time I've ever been abroad. The first time was Japan. The second time was Greece, and like this family holiday, which is sick because it was like 38 degrees Celsius there. It got up to like fucking 45 at one point or some shit like that, which is ridiculous. And I wasn't even, being in the all-inclusive resort with the pool and the unlimited food was really nice, and that was sick. And it was like, I was there living in fucking abundance, for that week, while also working on my business to a good degree. And I went out hiking. That was also, while I was in Greece, that was the closest I ever got to death, because I basically went out hiking on this like really big-ass hike, bro. when it was like 38 Celsius. And I started running out of water. I was like stranded because Google Maps was trying to take me through some like abandoned farm tracks. So I was like trying to do a big loop around this big lagoon. And I basically just got sort of trapped in a way, like stranded, and I had to walk like 20 kilometers back to the hotel in like 38-degree heat, I think it ended up being. With not much water left, significantly sunburnt, heat stroke, and everything. And that was like the closest I ever got to death there, bro. That was fucked. But that was, it was an experience. And then after that, bro, making the self-improvement documentary with the BBC, that's what I forgot to mention. The BBC contacted me. And they were like, yeah, we want you to be in this like manosphere documentary and everything. And then I was in that documentary, like they followed us to Lisbon. Lisbon was where we did like a Donis house. Where I met like my friend Vincent, who I said about, met him in real life for the first time, and that was all filmed like in the BBC documentary, which is fucking awesome. And then Vincent, and then that was like August, and then, yeah, that was like August, I think, and then October, like Vincent came and lived here with us in the UK, like literally, like my parents let him live here with us for a month, and like, we went to Wales, we went to Poland, which is fucking awesome, bro. Technically went to Slovakia too, but we just crossed over the border while climbing a mountain. And then that was fucking awesome, and I filmed all of that, bro, and that was really sick. Like, just in Poland as well, we did like this huge self-improvement meetup, and I felt like I really had a social life there. Like, I was around other guys who I really felt like I related to in Poland, and like that felt like it was me experiencing a social life for the first ever time in real life, which is fucking sick, bro. And then yeah, come back, locking on business in end of November, start of December. I went from like 2K a month to like doing 8K in December. And then in in January I did like 12K, and then since then, like February and March, I've just been focused on delivering. We've got like crazy results. Like that's how, we did like $50,000 in client results in like 60 days, and like average client making $3,700 in the first 60 days. That's how we got those results in the $1,000 fast lane, my paid program. And then since then, like recently, I've just invested like $28,000 in mentorship, and now I'm planning on scaling up, trying to hit 30K. And that's why I'm making these YouTube videos to style my shit. But yeah, bro, yeah, that is basically my entire life story up till now. But yeah, I know this video has been pretty long so far, man. I know this video is supposed to be about like, the school system and how to deal with school and everything. And I do genuinely have some advice for you now, bro. This is where we, that's a big ass story, but I've genuinely got some advice for you. So to sort of recap where you probably are. So you probably want to live a life like me. And I'm not trying to be arrogant here, but you probably want to live a life like me. Where, let's fucking take this shit off now, bro. So yeah, you probably want to live, a life like me where it's like, you got the freedom to lock in your business. So like right now, like I'm at my, family home, but I'm working, I'm locked in. And if I want to go travel, I can go travel. Like I went to Scotland last month, up in a weekend in a little remote cabin there. I can travel when I want to. I've got that sort of freedom. I make money online. I make money online by helping people. I eat the best diet of like steak and eggs and everything. I'm actually helping people. I've got a bit of a movement, a mission going. It's fucking awesome, bro. I'm successful. I've got the fucking like time freedom, location freedom. I'm healthy. I'm not like destroying my mindset by being around other people I don't want to be around. It's pretty sick, and you probably want to live this life as well. Yeah, you are at the moment obviously not doing that. You're kind of like I was in the past, where you're surrounded by other people who you aren't really like. Maybe you got some good friends in real life, but it's not as ideal. And you want to be around guys like me. You want to be around guys like yourself, in real life, where you got that freedom to be able to live that, and you want that life where you can fully go in on your purpose, what you genuinely, authentically want to do. And obviously you don't really care about the shitty life you live now. You don't particularly care about school or your job or any shit like that. Like, you want to make online business work. Maybe you've been uploading on YouTube or some shit like that, but you want to make online business work. You're basically living the same life I was living like a year ago, or a bit more than a year ago. And it's like when you're in your school or when you're in your job, it's like people might know about your shit, but it's like you probably pretend to be someone else that you're not. You pretend. You just sort of like forget about your YouTube and your shit when you're around people like that, or when you're around your family, you just like forget about it, and you probably like pretend to be normal. Or maybe you were like me and you were really ballsy and you didn't, and you're authentic. and you didn't like pretend to be someone else, but you probably are like pretending to be someone else, and like your authentic self kind of becomes like a thing inside of you, and instead you put an outer shell on yourself to like pretend to be somebody else, but inside you're still you, and so you find other people like yourself in online communities as a reason you're watching this video so far, and it's because you're like me, you like who I am, and it's like you watch videos like this, or you talk with people in communities, and they really are like the people you get along with the best with. They really are your closest brothers. You improve alongside these brothers. Giving one another advice and everything. Yet you're separated from them in real life. You're still like with them, but then again, in real life, you're kind of alone at that point. And it's like I said, you dream of this freedom where you can wake up and you can look in your business and you got this fucking freedom, bro, and you can work and change lives and there's this fucking freedom, bro, and it's like. You, of course, grind like I did. You grind on your business to try and make this work. And maybe you're consistent, maybe you're inconsistent. I went through periods of consistency and inconsistency. But overall, like, this is what you want to achieve. Like, I understand you, bro. Like, I went through it. I've spoke with over 300 guys exactly like you on, like, free coaching calls and shit. So I understand how it is, man. You are my exact niche, man. And I would just want to give you some more honest advice for you. Some really fucking honest advice here, bro. Pain isn't necessarily a bad thing, okay? As I said earlier, pain is often what's needed to become the version of yourself that can achieve your goals, okay? Pain is a necessary part of life, okay? And pain is going to be uncomfortable and it's not going to be nice. Sometimes it feels nice, like when you're in the gym, but oftentimes it doesn't feel nice, but it's very necessary, and it's almost like what life is formed around. Like, you can't have good without bad. Like, half of your life is always going to be below average. 50% of your life is going to be below average, bro, okay? 50% of your life is going to be more painful, okay? That's just how it is. You cannot get around that. That's just simply how it is, okay? But the thing is that you don't want to avoid this pain, and there's nuances to this, okay? But like, you don't want to avoid this pain by pretending to be someone else you're not. And what I'm getting at is, like, you need to be fully fucking authentic. Like, if you want something, bro, you do not want to let anybody else get in the way of that. You don't want to let school get in the way of that. You don't want to let your parents get in the way of that. You don't want to let the kids at your school get in the way of that. Or if you're like your friends or your girlfriend or shit like that, you don't want to let any of them get in the way of what you truly want to achieve. There's a reason you're fucking like over an hour into this video. I don't even know how fucking far we are into this video, bro. It's like we're pretty fucking far in, okay? There's a reason you've watched or you've listened. You might be listening to this. You've gone this far into this video, okay? It's because you want to be like me, and that's not me fucking stroking my ego, and it is a little bit, but there's a reason you are this far into this video, okay? And that's because this is who you authentically are, okay? You want to authentically be like me or be similar to me, which is why you are watching this video. And that is authentic you. That's your authentic core. You do not want to let anyone else get in the way of that for you, bro. If you let anyone else get in the way of that, okay, then what happens is you start to, live a life that isn't you. You start to live inauthentically. And you already know the symptoms of that. You already know what's going to happen. That's essentially the same as just fucking working a 9-to-5 job when all you want to do is go travel. Like, you don't want to fucking do that. And it's not just about, oh yeah, but I'm working on my business. I'm just pretending that I'm not to the people around me, or I'm just like avoiding talking about it to the people around me. Yes, you can still be working in your business that way, but that's not the point. It's the principle of being authentic and not being scared to show yourself. Because if you get in the habit of pretending to, not be really focused on business around the people around you, and you don't do what I did, where you're like, you openly don't try and hide your business or anything, and you're not scared to be alone, if that makes sense. And you're not scared to be alone at school or shit like that, even if it means sacrificing your friends. If you don't go down that path and you go down the path where you sort of keep those friends who aren't really, you are sort of okay, but like, they're not ideal, and you stay around them, well, you're just, you're limiting your success, because then you're going to be more like them, and you're going to be like this dream that you want to achieve. You're going to be pretending like it doesn't matter as much, and then because you pretend it doesn't matter as much, that's going to manifest into your brain, and then when it comes time to do the work, or it comes time to make the big decision, that's going to really affect you, bro. Whereas you're going to be so much more successful, and I credit this hugely to my success, like I said earlier, to the fact that when people found my channel for the second time, I didn't delete it, I didn't take it down, and I was proud of it, okay? And when, like I said, when people call me names and shit, or, they try and fucking get rough with me, it's like I give them shit back, and I'm unperturbed. I'm standing solid and standing still in where I'm at. I'm not fucking moving out. I'm, fucking moving because they're like, oh, you shouldn't do that. And so I'm like, oh, no, I'm not doing that. I'm like, you shouldn't do that. And it fucking hits me straight in the chest. And I'm like, so what? I fucking stay still. You shouldn't do that. You fucking shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. You know, that's cringe. I stay here. I don't fucking move out of the way. Whereas what you are probably doing is like, that's cringe, and you fucking dodge out of the way of it, and you want to stand here, but you instead stand here because so that you're not in the fire of their fucking judgments. You know, you don't want to do that because if you fucking do that, bro, it's just gonna fuck you up so much, man, and you know this, and you're probably thinking, but yeah, Sam, like, yeah, I know I should, but like, you know, it's gonna be more distracting if I tell them about it. Like, I'm chill right now working on my work. It's gonna be more distracting if I tell them. Yes, it is, and yes, it's gonna be painful, and yes, it's going to slow you down on your current pace temporarily. Yes, you're not gonna get as much work done because you're gonna be like emotionally fucked. If you sort of come out and tell people about your channel, you tell your parents about your channel, or you know, you cut off those friends or shit like that. And you're gonna have to go through that pain. Like I went through that pain when I told you about me riding my bike back into school. I had to go through that pain. Okay. But long term, it's gonna help you so fucking much more, bro. Okay, it's gonna help you so much more. Like you can compare it. Like if you've ever been in an ice bath, you'll know what I mean by this. But if you haven't, then I'll have to describe it for you. When you get in an ice bath, it's obviously really painful getting in the ice bath. Okay, but we'll forget about that. When you're sitting in the ice bath, okay, and you're sitting really still, it actually becomes somewhat nice. Like it's uncomfortable, but it's somewhat nice when you're sitting still. Okay. And you do not want to move a singular bit because if you move, then it like disturbs the water and it cools and it hurts more when you move. If you're sitting still in an ice bath, it doesn't hurt anywhere near as much as when you move. Okay. And so you sit in your ice bath for a few minutes, and then it's time to get out. And this is weird. This will sound so backwards, but you will procrastinate getting out of the ice bath because it's actually more comfortable to sit in the ice bath than to move and get out the ice bath. Because when you move, there's like 3 to 5 seconds of like really big pain of you moving and getting all the fucking fresh cold water on you. Whereas when you sit still, it doesn't do that. So what happens is you tend to procrastinate, and I do this, you tend to procrastinate getting out, okay, but to avoid that temporary pain. But the thing is, you go through that temporary pain, and then once you're out, you're no longer going through the static pain of you sitting in there. Same thing here. You're currently going through the static pain of sitting in the ice bath. You need to go through the pain of fucking getting out the ice bath, okay? And then you'll be out, you know, much less pain, okay? And so that's basically the point. Like, if you have the option to tell your parents about this and you've got the option to drop out, take the fucking option to drop out. Yes, it'll be painful, okay, but I went through that. It is necessary for your success. You're not gonna fucking succeed, bro, if you're not able to go through that pain to tell your parents you want to drop out. And you might be like, oh yeah, but my parents, you know, they're gonna make it harder for me to work. Yes, and that is the point. Okay, the point is to make it harder for you now so that in the future, so that in, you know, a month's time when shit's cooled down and you're fully dropped out, it's going to be easier for you to work. Like, I've got a client, and I'm not going to say his name because this is quite sensitive for him, but he's currently in the process of, like, dropping out. He's not in the process, but basically he brought it up to his dad, and his dad was like fully, okay, that's fine. Like, I'm not happy about it, but you can do it. Then he brought it up to his mum, and his mum basically had a crazy emotional reaction, okay, where she was like, no, do not do this. You know, I've paid so much for you to go to school. Like, don't do this. Don't do this. You know, you're gonna break my heart if you do this. I'll pay you money. You know, I'll pay you money to not drop out. I'll make your food for you and do all your dishes for you if you just don't drop out. You just stay in school. And she just got really emotional about him staying in school. And now he's currently in like the sort of procrastination mode where he's like, you know, because he basically told his mum he'll think about it, or something along those lines. And he's currently in the mode where he's like, he's like kind of procrastinating, telling her that he's gonna drop out. He knows he's gonna do it, but he's kind of in the mode procrastinating about it. But he's doing something really good. He's going through so much pain now. Like, his emotions are fucked up, bro. He can't work right now because his emotions are fucked up. But come on, month's time when shit's cooled down, he's going to be able to work so much better because he's no longer in school. You need to go through that as well, bro. Okay, you need to really go through that now. You can't keep dealing with a shitty life. Okay, you need to drop out if you can. And if you can't drop out, and that's genuinely not an option whatsoever. By the way, when I say it's genuinely not an option, I mean it's physically impossible. When I was 14, it wasn't an option for me, okay? Whatsoever. If you can talk to your parents about you being homeschooled, fucking do that shit, bro. Do that shit, okay? Or even if you can't, then just cut off those friends you've got in school and go Sigma, Solo, Alpha Wolf like I did, okay? And just spend your time alone so you're not fucking having your mind invaded by those other guys. And then if you feel lonely, then just, join our fucking community, bro, and become friends with us. We've got a super solid community in our free community, man. And just make friends with people like me, make friends with other guys like yourself, and let them be your brothers. Like I said with Vincent, my friend Vincent, we were both in self-improvement. We knew each other for like 3 years. We were sort of like, like best mates online in a way, always supporting each other for like 3 fucking years, bro. And like, I wouldn't have been able to get through this shit without him. So like, yes, you need online friendships and shit, but like, you don't want to fucking go through this, bro. You don't want to go continue forcing yourself through this, because this is the other thing, okay? At the moment, like, I'll be completely honest and vulnerable telling you this, okay? I've got this like weird social trauma shit that I kind of need to heal. Like I said, like when I was in school, it was like the conscious side of my brain was completely fine with me, being sort of socially outcast. But then the unconscious side of my brain, like the biological side, I told you, like the fucking biological reflex in your brain, that really was fucked, okay? Or it's like, for example, like when someone would say shit, it's like in my mind, my conscious mind, it wouldn't bother me, but I'd get like weirdly fucking tense, and it was such an odd feeling, man. And I couldn't control that weird tension, and that was just like the biological reflex, I guess. But I think that's caused some weird trauma in me now, because like now when I'm out walking or some shit like that, and I'll pass like another group of kids my age or some shit like that, I just get like, even if it's because I don't know and they're paying no attention to me at all, okay, I'll still just get weirdly fucking tense, and go all fucking tense and like, shorter breathing and shit like that. Like, that's just some weird fucking reflex in me, okay. And yes, it's good to have pain, but like, that you don't want to let that happen to you. Like, you being in school is actively basically degrading your brain. You don't want to, have that happen to you in a way. And so yes, it is good to have pain, but by you avoiding dropping out, okay, you're actually kind of avoiding the pain by you avoiding dropping out. And it's weird, like you're avoiding the short-term pain, but you're going to go through more pain long-term, if that makes sense. So you need to fucking drop out, bro, if you can. I really hope this can be the message to you, man. And I really hope, and honestly, man, if you got fucking balls and you got 2 balls, and you'll go tell your parents right now that you want to drop out. I mean, I fucking respect you, man, if you do that. If you do that, join my community and make a post in it, bro. And I'll not even kidding, I'll pay you $300 if you do that. There's fucking $300 on the line if you were to drop out right now, like right now, bro. You go tell your parents and you join my community, make a post, I'll pay you $300 for it, bro. I promise you, I'll do that for you, bro. But yeah, so you fucking need to drop out, or even so, you just need to cut off those old friends, man. I really, really hope this video, because you've watched this far in, I really, really hope that this video can be the sort of like shout for you to be able to do that, man. But yeah, but if you are like starting self-improvement coaching, or starting YouTube, or some sort of fitness or social skills or something related to that, and you are aiming to hit your first like 1 to 3K per month, so you can drop out, have that freedom, go travel, eat the best diet, and all of that, then I can 100% help you to achieve that first 1 to 3K per month, bro. That's what my entire business is based around. And like I said earlier, it's like we've got a ridiculously high success rate. Average client makes $3,700 in the first 2 months. We've actually got a fucking crazy offer now. This is a new offer. Basically, if you don't hit your first 2K per month, then not only do you not pay us anything, because we now work on paying results, you don't pay us a penny. Not only that, I'll also pay you $1,000 to essentially say sorry for wasting your time if you don't hit your first 2K per month. There's a link below there, like a calendar link in the description for you to apply to that, where you can book a call with my team, and we can talk to you about you joining us on that offer there, bro. Because I've realized that we get such good results now, I might as well give a fucking crazy offer like that because I can afford it. Or if you're not in the position to be able to do that right now, you don't want to do that, I've also got my free community, the $1,000 protocol, which I mentioned, where you get my entire course for completely free. You get the community, you get for somewhat to a degree free coaching from me. And everything in there, and the second link is there. Absolutely, it's completely fine, bro, if you don't want to click that. Like, if this is the first video you watch of mine, you don't want to click it, yeah, I completely understand, bro. There's absolutely no pressure for you to click. But if you do want to, then of course it is there. But yeah, it's fucking awesome video, bro. Subscribe so you can see more videos like this, and yeah, have an amazing day, bro. Goodbye.